Greetings. Something in my way on the screen here. Cut, copy, paste, select all. Let me. Nope. Still there. All right. Whatever. Let it be. So this is something about finding out how to test and prove all things. Well, and this specifically, a lie or the truth, which does sum up everything, but because everything falls in either truth or lies, between the two, that's everything. So that's pretty big. How to know that something's a lie and a contradiction and hypocrisy, because if it's hypocrisy, it's also a contradiction of the soul, of self, because it's not possible to actually do contradiction and believe contradiction and also not be in hypocrisy. And the same way, the other way, to be in hypocrisy is to be in contradiction. This is the saving of one soul, and for saving their soul, for the snake, serpents, brood of vipers, devils, hypocrites, snakes, it shall be destroying itself. For eating its tail, for trying to save its life, it shall be destroying itself. That's the key, is that man is destroying himself. He is doing it himself. The world's not going to teach the Father's truth, therefore it won't teach from the heart. It will not believe this truth. It cannot believe this truth. And a man's heart does not want to believe that he destroys himself. Now, in a delusion, in a bunch of darkness, in some situation where there's not some kind of testing and pressure to prove those words out, someone can just quickly say, yeah, I just do this to myself casually. As I've noticed, people can just blot out the words all day long. And they might be right words about what they do or are, and yet they can't believe those words in reality about themselves. If someone else were to say something, those very words back to them, they would fill up with wrath and rage and not believe those words that they said against themselves, about themselves. Has anyone else noticed that they do honor him in so many different ways with the lips, but their heart is far from him? The only thing that matters is the heart. That without the heart, there is nothing. And that's the only thing that matters, is the heart. If the words are there, but not the heart, it means nothing to the Creator. It means nothing to Messiah. Nothing at all. It is literally worthless, and it just becomes evil. Because if the heart's not there, that means it's all just sin and unbelief, hypocrisy and contradiction. So in an example now, people say, much of the world says, for example, the flat earth, and that phrase especially, flat, is stupid, is retarded, is dumb, idiotic, moronic. All these different things it accuses, condemns, judges, gets angry at, makes fun of it, mocks it, because of flat earth. That's just stupid to most of this world. And there are some people that they will claim with their mouth that the earth is not a globe. And that doesn't yet prove whether they're of the Father or not. By itself, it doesn't prove that they are of him. It still needs to be further tested, proven, to see what someone is doing and why they're doing it, And especially when it's seen that it's being done for profit. Truth has nothing to do with profit. That is no profit over there or over there to the left or right that does it for profit. That is no profit. And that's double-edged. No profit as in does not speak the Father's word in prophecy, and there is no profit for their soul. That right there is no profit. So then when it's found out why someone is doing what they're doing, the intention and reason, the true reason, and when it's connected, and when the answer is serving money, truth, or profit, that is all corruption. And there's different ways to see. The Father gives more ways and deeper ways to see why that's corrupt, because we also have to know why. Because something just saying it by itself means nothing. It's void and empty without reason, without meaning. So then we need to know why it corrupts the heart. Why is it already corrupt if that's happening? It's a sickness in the heart. It's a spiritual disease in the heart when it's done for profit like that. The mind is actually not on the Father or his thoughts. It is not seeking him from the actual heart when it's this corruption, when that's discerned and is true. It cannot serve the Creator also. It's not possible. It cannot serve money, mammon, and Elohim and the Father himself. Therefore, it does not have Messiah either, because through Messiah, to see him is to see the Father, to have as one, because he is one. So it's either the Father and Messiah or not. There is no such thing that someone knows the Creator and not Messiah, or knows Messiah and not the Creator. That doesn't actually exist. And if the world makes it look like that's true, it's not actually true. It's a delusion. Going back to contradiction, but there's heavenly spiritual contradictions, the true contradictions of the heart. There's things in the heart, all kinds of things that are possible or not possible through different pathways and branches. It's something like seeing the branches of the heart, and if there's a pathway to go from A to B or A to Z, is there a pathway for someone to worship money and serve money with the heart and doing it for that and self-gain, truth, corrupted with self-gain, like we also read plainly for self-gain. There's actually a word, I think, where is it, somewhere in the New Testament, that I think is only used one time, that specific word, and it has to do with gaining profit and corruption connected with, not sure what word is it. Let me see if I could. I do split screen here. It's not doing it. I better stop trying to. I can't get split screen to work right now. Maybe go to the computer actually. Wake up from the dead, computer.
sleep. Everyone needs to wake up from their sleep. Everyone, including self. Blue letter. Let me try to find that verse. It's not coming to my mind what verse to search for word search. Might have to pass on it. Come on. Corrupt, maybe. Ephesians 4:22. It's not the one, but anyways here, that you put off concerning your former conduct, and we read about the former things passing away, and behold, all new things coming in. The former things are all the ways and beliefs of the old man, the former, the first. It was first. Put off concerning your former conduct the old man, which grows corrupt it grows corrupt, it gets bigger, according to the deceitful lust. What's the next one? And be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that you put on the new man, which was created according to Elohim in true righteousness and holiness. Therefore put away lying. Let each one of you speak truth with his neighbor. Zechariah 8:16, speaking truth to the neighbor, for we are members of one another. Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your wrath, nor give place to the devil. Let him who stole steal no longer, but rather let him labor, working with his hands what is good, that he may have something to give whom has in need. Okay, that's I don't know. I don't think I'll be able to. Maybe profit. Just as I also please all men in all things, not seeking my own profit, but the profit of many, that they may be saved. Give no offense either to the Jews or to the Greeks or to the assembly of Elohim. No, I'm not sure. Normally would remember that verse, but not right now. But anyways, that is the corruption, and people will try to justify it, and they will make it out to be as if it's no big deal at all, as if it's nothing and will not do anything bad. It will not destroy someone. That's how the world makes it out to be. No, it will grow more corrupt and destroy someone's soul for doing that specific corruption, enticed, seduced by lust of the deceitful heart for self-gain, using the truth, using any truth, even anything that is true, even if it's a lie and someone believes it's true, but they sell truth, they sell that they're giving and doing truth for profit and self-gain, they will grow more corrupt. And it is a sign and a proverb Now, I have that verse in the body here, Ezekiel. Let me find that. Sign and a proverb. No, not design. Sign. Proverb. Ezekiel 14:8. Ezekiel. For anyone, 7 starting actually, for anyone of the house of Israel, or of the strangers who dwell in Israel, who separates. Now, this is not the true set apart. This is the image of it. Man thinks he's set apart, holy and righteous, because he separates himself from me, from the Father. Anyone who separates himself from me, not to him, from him, creating the image of separation. And then someone thinks that's righteous and sets up his idols in his heart and puts before him, have no Elohim before him first, nothing before in importance and worship in all things, puts before him what causes, who's doing, who does it, who sets up an idol in his heart and puts before him the person. Anyone from the house of Israel or the strangers who dwell in Israel separate himself from me and sets up his idols in his heart and puts before him what causes him to stumble into iniquity, sin, then comes to a prophet for, questioning. Now that person, the same person, goes to another person, a prophet, to inquire of him, of himself, concerning me, concerning Jehovah. I, Jehovah, will answer him, that one person up here, anybody, by myself. This is what he is doing, regardless of the world, regardless of believers, whatever we don't see yet. He's already doing his word. He's doing these words, and it can be seen, but it has to be given to be seen. So we have to be given more to see what it looks like and what he's doing. He's doing these words regardless of the world having no care, clue, or seeing or belief of them. This is what he will do. Jehovah will answer that person by himself. How? I will set my face against that man, not for him, because the man earlier separated himself from me, not to me, to the Father, but from him, and did all this. I will now set my face against that man and make him a sign. Well, let's look at the foundation, the lowest thing for the word, the literal definition of a word. Sign, a signal. It is self, what do you call it? Self, it defines itself within the word. I mean, come on, carnal man. A distinguishing mark, banner, remembrance, miraculous sign, omen, warning, token, ensign, standard, miracle, proof. So it's something to be seen. What's the point of a signal if it can't be seen? Then it's no longer a signal. What's the point of a distinguishing mark if it can never be seen? What's the point of a banner? Raise the banner. Nobody can see. Remembrance, miraculous sign, omen. Well, yeah, omen, we hear that word, and it's connected to evil. I don't even know if I've ever heard of that word, not connected to evil, but warning. What's the point of sounding the trumpet, a sign, a signal, and it's not possible to hear it or see it? So then it's something that can be seen. And the Father's not a liar. If someone doesn't see something, if we don't see something, we have to say, I don't know, and ask from him what it means, how to see it from him, because he's not a liar. Because the world does not see the sign truly in his understanding, it doesn't mean he is not doing this. He is doing this. And once it can be seen once, the very true word of any word, that is proof that he's doing it, even one time. But we would like, in truth, a second and third witness. But that means it exists. That means he's doing it. That means it's possible. It's more than possible. He is doing it. It is possible to see, but not with man in self, but through denial and belief in him, all things being possible in him, through him, as Messiah taught. It is impossible with man, but not impossible outright. So when someone says it's impossible for the intention of not doing it or having anything to do with truth or good, when they say it's impossible for the intention, the reason why they're saying it's something is impossible, when it's not out of truth, acknowledging the things that self cannot do in truth, versus saying it for the intention to make an excuse and justify running away from all good and truth. Who can see the difference between what's set apart and what's unclean, what's truth, what's the lie? Who can see the difference? Such a splitting of, so it appears, a hair, such a fine line, because the very words are the same, and yet there is two different possibilities from the heart. There's good and wickedness, good and evil. It's speaking those words in truth for the intention and reason for seeing heavenly things and acknowledging what self is, and that self cannot do the things of Elohim, but not saying it for the intention that they can't be done outright with zero belief in him, but the intention of saying it for an excuse and justifier to continue sinning, to continue in unbelief, to continue in the old way, the former way. So that is, there's two things. In everything, there's two things. The sword of his word always has two sides. That's what I'm seeing more of. And it's incredible how much needs to be rightly divided. It's stunning. It's shocking. It's impossible. It is impossible. And yet it can be done through believing in him. But it is impossible of self. There is no chance or way to see his truth, to see it in our heart and mind and spirit without him giving it, without seeking him. It is not going to be done from self, from ourself, of our own power and our own carnal mind that needs to die more daily. He will set that man and make him a sign. Now, if no one's seeing because they're blind, that doesn't mean there's no sign. And I know people talk like that with things, and it means nothing. It's like empty air. It's like blowing of the wind. And then, well, what can we do about it? Yeah, it sounds like it's nothing, because when the world says it, it really is that most of the time about everything. It's just emptiness. It doesn't mean anything. There's no weight to it. There's no importance. There's no belief. You just say, well, because something is something, it doesn't mean it's not. I'm aware that those words are said and that they mean nothing to people. But what else can we do? What else can be done? If someone's blind, that means they can't see the signs. If someone's in unbelief, they don't have the true sight yet, because they have eyes, but they cannot see, because those are the wrong eyes to see. The natural eye, man's understanding, his own things, cannot see. He will say now it doesn't exist because he cannot see it. He will do that. That's what he's been doing, Adam and Eve. And Eve comes from Adam. So when we read man, or if the Hebrew word is Adam, meaning man, and these are one, Adam, man, it is not only about some literal man. That's not who the Father is, some partial hypocrite, carnal man. No, He's speaking his truth for all. Man is meaning everyone, even if it's singular, masculine. And these kinds of things trick and deceive people because they look to the carnal, strictest, most literal definition of something without seeking understanding from him about any given word for how it's working, because it works a certain way. His word, it works through a way. How will they know that way? And since this way is invisible to the blind, what does it look like a believer is doing in people's mind and heart that don't believe? It looks like they're making things up. It looks like they're deceiving. They can always claim that because it looks like it to the blind, because the things being spoken of are invisible, except for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. These things are invisible to the world. It's as if it doesn't exist, so it looks like you just make things up. Well, the Father somehow set this up to be so, where it has to be a sacrifice of self, willing to die more and be slaughtered, and your image slaughtered. This is the only true love. That's it, is sacrifice of self, sacrificing others for self-gain and for rising of the beast and carnal man is the opposite thing. It is the image of sacrifice, but it's actually backwards and wicked. Spiritually, in the heart, it's backwards. It's 180 evil. This is the deception. That's the trick. For every truth, there is a mere masquerade or image. It's an image that copies the true, but what it really is doing wickedness and teaching sin in the heart, and only further helping and getting people to sin as long as they believe lies. As long as they believe the lie, as in all his truth, the lie in general. He sends a strong delusion so that they may believe a lie. We read. A sign and a proverb, might as well look up the word proverb then too. Not that anyone doesn't know what it literally means, but there is a point to even paying attention to one word, and seeking the understanding and believing it, because the carnal man, the natural man, just blindly reads, blindly does things. It just goes in one ear right out the other so easily. Proverb, a parable, proverbial saying, aphorism, byword, similitude, parable, poem, sentence of ethical wisdom, ethical maxims. Now Messiah taught parables, truth, and to those that are outside the kingdom in unbelief, they do not receive the truth except through a parable. To them, it will be a parable. It must be a parable. Well, let's find Messiah saying that. Matthew 13:34. I'll open a different one so I don't lose spot. Blue. I've had that thought before on literally blue letters, for like all the when the Father is speaking in the Old Testament, as it's called, to all be blue. What is it about red and blue anyways? It seems like it's red and blue in this world. Matthew 13, what is it, 33, 34. Another parable. Another parable he spoke to them. The kingdom of heaven is like leaven. Hey, that rhymes. That happens to rhyme. The kingdom of heaven is like leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal till it was all leavened. All these things Yehoshua spoke to the multitude in parables. This is what his heart is doing, regardless of someone accusing him. He spoke to the multitude in parables, and without a parable, he did not speak to them. Without a parable, he did not speak to them. So then that lines up with all these things, but then it's confirmed by saying it through the other way around. And without a parable, he did not speak to them. It's like a confirmation of itself because of being a witness to the other and the other being a witness to it for that one thing, that it might be fulfilled. Why is it done? Why does the Father have this done? Fulfilled by the prophet saying, so from Psalm 78:2 here, that's an old word. It was pretty old by the time Messiah said it. And now the understanding that trying to get out what I see and know that the truth is for how his word is working is exactly the same, almost 2,000 years ago with Messiah saying the truth. It's just a little bit older, a little bit later, from looking from literal time, from our perception of time, because the Father is not like old as if he has a beginning or something, but he is the only one that can be called eternal. But nevertheless, the word was revealed, and it was already old, as in it's been around, and not old as in bad, for a long time. When Messiah already said this, there was no New Testament, and it's good to know these things. It helps to see other things to know that there wasn't, and believe it and see that. There was no New Testament word at all yet when Messiah was speaking this, but only the Father's word, Scripture. All the books that have been together since they were put together through the Father, given to man, his revealed word. They've always been together. Now, just because man tries to separate and make it look with a strong image of separation, as if they were lost, they've always been together. They've always been the same. It's never changed. That's the truth. And there's even evidence of this, literally, with the literal word being together. There's evidence that it's always been together somewhere in this world. If this was true, and it is, back then, that something at the present time Messiah was speaking about to them, let's just throw in a number, 2,000 years later from Psalm. He's saying something that's that old, however old it is, that's the number is not the point now, that it's still true. And there's many witnesses to this truth for how his word works, and that it's still true. It doesn't matter how much time passes. Something was being fulfilled of old, prophecy and his word written, and his word is prophecy, was being fulfilled at Messiah's present time, way later, because that word is still true. Now more time has passed and it changes nothing. It's still working like that. It's still true. It's still the same word. It never gets old, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophet. This is true for 2023. I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter things kept secret from the foundation of the world. Can man find what's kept secret by the Almighty? Can the kid find what the Father hides, knowing the kid's better than they know themselves? Can they find it somewhere? Can they reach it? Even if they could find it, they couldn't get to it. Therefore, it would still be a secret for what you do not know and have never seen. And that's giving man all the benefit as much as possible, and it's still kept secret. He will utter things kept secret from the foundation of the world. What was kept secret? The entire revelation of all truth that is revealed through Messiah and his life and belief in him. The revelation of Messiah is the revelation of the Father's word. Okay, what is it trying to do now? Maybe nothing. Then Yehoshua sent the multitude away and went into the houses. Okay, explain to us the parable of the tares of the wheat. What do they do? What does his people need to do? Ask him. We don't know without it being given. We're supposed to ask. He wants us to ask. He answered and said to them, he who sows the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seeds are the sons of the kingdom, but the tares are the sons of the wicked one. The enemy who sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are the messengers, angels. Therefore, as the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so it will be at the end of this age. The Son of Man will send out his messengers, and they will gather out of his kingdom all things that offend and those who practice lawlessness. The condition of without law, ignorant of it because of violating it, contempt and violation of law, iniquity, wickedness. And will cast them into the furnace of fire. There will be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. The end of the age of the revelation of Messiah in the new covenant is the entire age. This is what's always happening in truth. There was something that started and has been true in Messiah since then, and it will go to the end. There's a lot of people in the world through their songs, through the lyrics, that talk about the world being on fire and their body being on fire. I've heard it too many times for it not to mean something. Why is that being said? Because this is already true. Because they are on fire right now. Anyone that's a tare is being burned in the fire. So it will be at the end of this age. And he declares the beginning from the end. And if it's true at the end, also to add, then it's been true from the beginning. Another parable. Kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field which a man found and hid. And for joy over it, he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Well, now, Messiah's disciples today need to ask, what does this mean? Tell us plainly, because to the world, to unbelievers, it is only given through as a parable, meaning the way that's being used when we read this. See, we also have the answer here. Also, I will utter things kept secret from the foundation of the world, from the beginning. He spoke to the multitude in parables. Without a parable, he did not speak to them. But when a believer receives the parable, we need to be given the meaning in the heart, plainly what it means, so that we see what the parable means. When we read that it's only given to them as parables, the way that parable is being used right here is in a way that they don't understand. It's a parable to them. It's a picture. It's some outwardly thing. They hear the words, but they do not see what it means. It remains a parable only to them. They cannot see what a parable means. The harlot church world does not see parables, which is all his truth, because without a parable, he did not speak to them. When was this broken? Never. Without a parable, he did not speak to them. So it's all parables, all of it. And his truth is a parable, and his parable is the truth. Now it remains a parable. It's like something that's sealed and it can't be unrevealed. Who's going to unleash or reveal the seals? Who's going to open the seals of the revelation of all truth? Well, we know the answer to that in Revelation, but not many know the answer in their heart. That's a massive difference, saying the words and doing what it means and believing what it means. Messiah had a seal set on him by the Father, and he spoke of that of himself. We also read Messiah using that word seal, the Son of Man having the seal set on him, who are sealed before that tribulation, that judgment, the judgment of the world, the burning in the fire. Wait, don't destroy any of the trees, the grass. What is man like? Grass that withers away. What is man like? He's like a tree, the good tree or the bad tree, the one that produces fruit and has life, the one that produces corruption and death, made to look like the true on the outside. But speaking of the inside now, the real things, that tree is bad fruit and corrupt. In order to sell it, it needs to make it look like it's good fruit and has life in it and gives life, but it does not. So a man is likened to a tree. Israel and man even is likened, Jerusalem is likened to a fig tree. And he cursed the fig tree because it did not produce fruit. Therefore, it needs to be dried up and burned, just like we also read quite a few witnesses of this fire to be like like sticks that are dried up and disconnected, drying up and dying. They're only good for burning. That's it. There is nothing else that they're good for, is except the Gehenna fire judgment that the Father puts on all man. Nevertheless, man brings it on himself. He separates himself from Jehovah and Yehoshua, the true Messiah, and not another. In spirit, there is no other. And yet, it seems like there is. It looks like, because we can't believe the image. There's not many messiahs, and all these messiahs are divided against himself. The body is one, not divided. His body is one and not divided in reality. He doesn't allow corruption to take place like this and for it to stand in his truth and his kingdom. All things that are foul, all things that offend, all things that are corrupt are outside of the kingdom. They can't get in. Where's the door? Well, it's not a literal door. That's the problem with carnal man. And yet there's a door. They want to force, rape the kingdom and steal it and take it. And who are the kingdom also? The kingdom is his people, the sons of the kingdom. We just read. The sons of the kingdom are the kingdom. What's the Father give? And his kingdom is all his truth. One with his people being the kingdom. Jerusalem is his people. Spiritual Jerusalem. The kingdom. And we read about knocking and it will be answered. The knocking has to be done from the heart. It has to be a want, a knocking. Who knocks on a door and doesn't actually want to? That's deception. Does the Father allow deception in? No, he doesn't. That's nonsense. That's evil. He doesn't allow anything that offends, is corrupt, trying to rape and take. Someone that does deception is knocking so that they can take over the place. If it's not for the true knocking, why are they knocking? So that they can come in the house forcibly and rape and take whatever they want to take, whatever their heart is desiring corruptly to take. So it looks like knocking, and yet it's not knocking. How easy is it to make it look like knocking? Well, let's see how easy it is. This is how easy it is in the heart to do what's false. Here's what it looks like. Huh? Who's that? Oh, no one. And then one deceives itself. And I didn't know this was here, but ask about our current specials. No thanks. No, not thanks, because was this done with a good intention? Transform your home by changing your window coverings. We need to transform our house the spiritual house, transforming the window coverings, doing that all by itself will do nothing for someone's soul, for their life, for their spirit, for their heart, for their mind, for their life and their condition. It will do nothing. It can do nothing of itself. The flesh profits nothing. We do it all with you. Budget blinds. Blinds. Someone closes the blinds so that they cannot see the truth. They close the blinds. Like these are closed right now. Now, that's how easy it is to knock. And then what does the deceiver have to do? He has to make himself look true. How will he get his deception done if he doesn't act like whatever is true and good from above? He will smile. He will look at you. He will be kind. He will act kind and nice and put a smile on his face, maybe even borderline laughing every second continually, because something is so funny all the time. It's so funny every second of every day. Ha 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 ha. What on earth is so funny in this world? Does that mean there's no such thing as laughter? That there's no such thing as funny being allowed in truth? No, it doesn't. But that's only speaking of that thing right now. Not for the intention of saying there is no way, but what on earth is so funny to this world, man? You know, it's like kids. They laugh a lot, and the things they laugh about don't make sense, does it? And maybe sometimes, you know, I mean, yeah, you like laugh because they do something funny, but you know, the point is that they laugh about kids' things, and then the adult just sort of looks and, you know, kids, and it's not really the same funny to adult. Well, that's what starts happening when someone grows up and is born from above and grows up a little bit, and such as many as that are mature, like we read. To there's steps and stages to growth. So now when someone only knocks for the intention of barging in and raping, stealing, killing, destroying something, you know, that it can only be corruption and sin. If it's not the truth, there's nothing left except evil. There's nothing left except corruption and sin if it's not good. $500 off. Does that mean you save money? Blind shutter, shades, drapes, home. Well, to this world, saving money is spending money. I mean, if someone really would actually save money, you wouldn't spend it. You know, even speaking about earthly things, it's messed up. Spending money's not saving money. Last I checked, I've never been able to do that, literally. But you create your own the world creates its own definition for its own profit, for business as usual, not personal, just business as usual. Lies. It's personal, doing evil to your neighbor. It's personal, deceiving masses to sell a product. It's personal to lie to someone about a product that it's selling to people. It's lying to its neighbor. It's lying to humanity, to its own flesh. It's personal. No matter how much someone doesn't want it to be, they won't agree with this truth because they'll try to give you the definition through the delusion and try to explain it through that deceptive, natural way that the enemy knows so well how to make it sound like their lie is true. It seems to make sense. It tickles the carnal mind. It does look like it could be true and real. That's the image of the beast in all things. What is it in reality, in truth? Is it what people are saying and doing? Is it the image they sell? How often does someone buy something and it's not what they thought in their mind, the image in their mind and heart that was sold to them? How often is it not what they thought? A lot. Pretty sure that's happening a lot. So then this breeds more opportunity for business to sneak in and try to get a piece of it by doing something slightly better or less worse than someone else and then advertising that. There's room in certain areas and sectors to sneak in like this because of how bad everything is. If one person, one business can do something a little less evil, a little less, or less cost, whatever, however they're doing it, either through less cost, slightly different, not as bad as that thing, and then sell that, and then people will buy it because of those reasons, better price, or even if it's the same price, it does something a little bit better because everything else is so bad, or it doesn't mean everything naturally is bad with the products they make, as if there's nothing that literally works. But the point is that there's so much deception in it, so much lies. And the point is that it's personal. It is direct evil to lie to anyone about anything. Man will try to make it about the thing so that he explains away that it's a lie because it's some less worthless thing. He needs to make it sound lesser in order for him to make his lie sound greater and good. And it's a lie. It doesn't matter what it's about. A lie is a lie. And for lying to others, the Father will give as a reward lies to believe for that person themselves to be deluded and deceived. So everything that's given is given to parables, to the multitudes. And without a parable, he does not even speak. And then we need to, where is it? Explain to us the parable of the tares of the field. His people will have a care enough, given a care to do that, to ask him what it means. As long as someone is saying they know what it means already from the beginning, what they don't actually know, they will never actually know because they say, I know already, because they believe the lie that you shall know good and evil. The devil is saying you shall know all things for taking a bite of the fruit of sin, for sinning, because the fruit is the sin. And this parable of Adam and Eve, using them as a parable and a teaching for our admonition, is teaching that the fruit is eating sin. It doesn't matter what the sin is or what it is or what object it is. That's why it's so short and clear cut, because it's representing all sin, all things the fruit is. Anything that's a sin is eating the fruit of sin, and anything that is good is eating the fruit of good. It applies to all things. It doesn't look great. It doesn't look like it's much. That's the image. It doesn't matter what the image is. That word is huge, and there's always more to see, more to see and be given on the same exact word. Father keeps giving more. Somehow there's more to the same words to see deeper, the deep things of Elohim, like we read. But first it's milk. First it's shallow. It's right on the surface. It's just some shallow, which is not bad, but it starts out small. Some knowledge, some shallowness, because that's where it needs to start. And then it goes deeper, wider, taller. The meat of his word has to be chewed on. It's a little bit different than milk or even fruit. And the meat is representing the deeper, bigger things. which is very important, which is needed for to be healthy spiritually. The deeper, bigger things to grow in. It's needed to grow. It's needed to get the right nutrition, vitamins, minerals to be having a healthy spiritual body is to start getting to the meat of his word. But if it's trying to force, someone's trying to force down that meat to a baby, they're doing evil. Even though they're trying to give something good, they're doing evil. Because now it's a sin because it's out of order. And when someone does it out of order, their heart is doing evil, because that can't be done a good way. That's evil. That means their heart is actually doing evil if they're doing that work out of order, because a baby can't handle any more than what it can handle. Condemning it is to say it should handle and it's not. Me, or doing this work to anybody like the world constantly does to others and itself. It condemns, it condemns, it condemns. It blames and accuses, but then it's guilty of its own accusations. Never lifts the finger for the law itself. Messiah spoke the truth and he lifted a finger up for all the law. He did it. Well, he did more than that. But when now he's teaching that something small and light, they don't even lift a finger up for the law that they talk about and make it look like they talk about to others and tell people what to do and command them and try to control them. Try to run their life so that when someone believes someone's command, that will destroy them, because that is utter sin and faithlessness to just follow a carnal command and blind leader like that wants to do evil by getting worship and controlling others. That will guarantee destruction for the one that believes and follows those commands. They will be more lost. They will go into more unrest. They will not be able to see the truth even more. Everything else will look cold, dead, and impossible even more. It's going to be even more faithless. It's going to look more faithless in their heart. That's what someone will do when someone says this isn't evil. That's not evil. Going into more darkness and faithlessness, even deeper into it, deceiving people is not evil. Deceiving someone never gave them life. For anyone believing the deception, that's death, and they will go into more death and darkness for believing the deception and lie. Adam, Eve, and the serpent, the enemy, is guilty, not just one or the other or one out of the three. Nevertheless, the one doing the deception is doing evil, and the one wanting to believe it and not testing it is doing evil and believing it, even though they're getting deceived. The person doing the deception is doing great evil, regardless of what anyone else is doing. That's what he does, on purpose with intent to deceive. He does evil no matter if anyone believes his lie or not. If nobody believes his lie, he's doing evil still. It has nothing to do with something else. And the one receiving, now we're talking about that one and not the other. And both sides do sin. There's no excuse with the Creator. There's no excuse that works with him. The judgment and punishment's coming anyways, and someone will have to bear their guilt and sin like we read about. But Cain can't actually bear it, but he's going to have to bear it. Here is what's coming to Cain. He's going to have to bear his sin, meaning it's coming to him, and he won't be able to bear it in reality. So he's going to do more evil and dump that load on someone else. Why does someone do evil to someone? Because someone did evil to them just recently. Or the point is, all the sins over time, they stick on someone. They do evil. It's not because they can blame someone else for it. But outside of the truth, the only thing someone can do is do evil to someone else because someone did evil to them. They hate it when someone does evil to them, and yet that's all they do is evil to others themselves. They think they're righteous in this hypocrisy and this blind delusion and wrath. And every believer should know something about it, because they are no different. They were no different. But now needing to overcome that It's going to be revealed that that's what they are, that that's what self is. But now needing to speak the truth and overcome it, because the Father does forgive those that believe and ask of him. And we're supposed to want to seek to do his will. It doesn't mean we'll never sin again. And someone that tries to put that doctrine in someone's heart is going to get them to sin. Without a doubt, if they believe that lie, they will continue to sin for believing that one lie in their heart, that they can sin no more. That's as prideful as it gets. That person might end up murdering someone, literally, depending on how far deep they believe that prideful, wicked thing, that they can sin no more. Then they're going to try to back up their wicked doctrine with one verse and cherry pick it because it sounds like it's true, because they read the letters real quick and don't know what it means, contradicting all other scripture and all his word, saying you're contradicting when they're contradicting right in that moment. And it can be proven easily for anyone that sees and knows how to give what we need to give back, to prove that it's a lie, to prove they contradict in his word. And it's shown, it's so that it can be seen that someone contradicts. The Father made it to be this way where there is no excuse. It can be proven, and the person that's doing the evil can see that they contradict. When they see it, they go blind because they don't want to see it. Therefore, the seed, the word, is taken away from them, and they're blinded. And the Father blinds their eyes even more because they saw the proof, they saw that they're lying and contradicting, and they do not care. They do not want to hear it. They do not want to be wrong about anything at any time ever, even though it's contradicting and it's proven. A lie and a contradiction says it believes in his word, and then his own word contradicts them. It proves that their doctrine is a contradiction, a lie, a hypocrisy. The same thing in the heart as the true contradiction of the sun is cold and hot at the same time. That's what a contradiction always is. Something like that. It doesn't have to be about the sun. The fruit is all things, anything. The sun is just one example out of the fruit of contradiction. It could be anything, but it works the same way with all the other things. Contradiction is something like that. The sun is hot and cold at the same time. Spiritual contradictions are all lies, and they cannot be true and are not true. When someone teaches lies, they're in delusion. They can't be teaching lies like that continually and say that they know him and that are of him. They don't want to look at themselves and examine themselves to see what they're doing. Someone points their lie out and they don't want correction because the fool in his heart hates correction. He despises it. Don't they believe in the Bible, or do they believe in the Creator? Which one? Are they worshiping the Bible, the letter of his word, for their own self-gain, to hide and cover all their sin, to condemn everyone and use his word to condemn and justify all sin? That sums it up pretty much for the false prophets and anyone that's of the harlot, anyone that's of the harlotry, the harlot houses, like we read. So everything can be seen in reality, but because of someone's blinding, they will use their own blinding as an excuse to justify their sin, to act like they didn't see it, to act like they didn't see they did anything wrong. It will go blind to itself on purpose. Here's a picture. Someone pulls backwards, they're reversing into a road, and someone's driving whatever speed, 40, 50. They see the car coming and they don't care. They reverse, step on it, back up, and now that car has to slam his brakes. And then they pull forward, they move forward and pretend it didn't happen. Now, if anything is done to them, even remotely of the same image, they will turn in wrath and all fury and honk their horn in contradiction and hypocrisy, and go blind to what they themselves did. It will go blind to whether it's on purpose or not, because nobody wants to be wrong and is wrong about anything at any time. That's why it's a devil's trick when someone says sorry. Why are they saying it? Because the devil can't be sorry. That's from heaven, the truth that the devil can't be sorry. It would be nice if the devil could be sorry. Well, it wouldn't in truth, because evil does not do good. But in this world, in reality, the enemy cannot be sorry in its heart. Why does it look like it's sorry? Why is it acting like it's sorry? Should be the question for everything, testing and proving all things, not believing someone's lie that they try to lie to you about anything and everything. We can't believe anything that anyone says without it being seen, whether it's true. And if it's not seen, then we walk away not knowing for sure. If we get the answer, then good. But if we don't have the answer in that moment, then we have to walk away not believing one thing or the other, because that would be the truth, because that would be acknowledging we don't know. So you stay neutral. You don't believe that what they said, and you don't disbelieve it. In this case, it's right down the middle, right down. It's not lukewarm, and because this is not the same thing as what wicked lukewarm, right in the middle. This is different. And if someone can't see how it's different, well, they can accuse us of teaching contradiction, because it sounds like if you cut and paste some of these words now, you can make someone look like a liar and a deceiver. Yeah, a 10-year-old can do that too. That's what people do all the time. Anyone can make someone look like it, even if they're speaking truth. You can make it look like it all day long, because the truth is invisible to their heart. You just need to copy and paste 2 scriptures that sound like they contradict. That's it. This thing can't be hidden forever from believers' sight, from their eyes. They need to know. We need to know, because this trick is constantly being done. The devil's tricks we need to be aware of, because if we're tricked, that will produce sin, that will produce death. If we believe a lie, that's sin. Believing a lie is sin. It is counted for sin for believing a lie. We're accountable for what we do and believe, for what we believe and do. Now, if someone doesn't believe in their heart that believing a lie is sin, that's all they know is sin. They are in sin. They believe lies, and many lies, right that moment, if their heart never has believed at any time that believing a lie is not sin. If the false prophet, through some tricky doctrine, can get the heart to believe that believing lies is not sin, they got them, and they will be blinded, deceived, and destroyed unless they come out of it, unless they repent, unless they turn away from that garbage, unless they seek the Creator and ask what the real truth is, since the false prophet that loves them so much never gave it, and they charged for their lies. They charge people a lot of money for their destruction, for their evil lies that destroy people, and it really does. But the world can make it look like it doesn't all day long, and that's what the world will believe and get everyone else to believe already, that it does not, that it doesn't do this, that it's not doing this evil at all. Once again, that's very easy to do also. Anything to create an image is easy, because it's cheap, easy. That's what the devil is. He's cheap and easy. A pervert is who the enemy is, a coward and insecure. Someone that's not God, someone that's not Elohim, but wants to be worshipped as Elohim, is an insecure coward. That's the truth. A fearful coward is connected to the works of the devil. It's not of the Father's love, fearful cowardness. Anyone who's in fear, their love is not perfected. So it's for believers to know, to overcome that cowardly fear. It's not of the Father, fearful coward. It's not who he is. He's not that. He's never that. He never will be that. He's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Messiah has also now become the same. That's what was given. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. To be perfected and not change away from that perfection is a good thing, not a bad thing. And now we are needing to be in the process of being perfected continually until that same thing happens, that we're perfected also following that same path. which also means following the resurrection of the dead, as he was the first, as the Father gave a perfect example to follow and evidence and proof of that order also, that after death is life. Despite the world's heart that won't believe this, that's an abomination to its heart. No, they can't believe anything else, but the reason why it's said now is because people will lie and make it look like they don't believe that. They will make it look like they believe the truth. If they can get someone connected to themselves or to its corruption, its church, its assembly that's false, that person will be destroyed, because we read, "Come out of her, my people, lest you partake in her sicknesses and diseases," plagues, I believe, but all those are true. The plagues is a sickness. The plagues are spiritual sickness and disease. The drunkenness is a spiritual sickness and disease. Now, of course, not using that word disease to blame. We can't blame a bottle. Can't blame a liquid. It's man doing it. Can't blame the disease, a deception. Who puts that in its mouth? Self was guilty for doing that, not some bottle, not some can. Myself was guilty for doing that. No one else. Even if someone tricked me and deceived me, it was my fault, my accountability for doing it, of which I didn't take at the time any, of course not. Blame someone else for it. Find something to blame is all that it could do, all that self could do. There's nothing more horrific than seeing what self is further every day, which is what the Father reveals, that we're sinners, no good, naked, exposed as sinners. This is what the world's hiding, covering. Where do they read that through hiding sin someone can be healed? Do they believe in healing spiritually, naturally, any kind of healing at all from the Father? Then we also have something that needs to be seen and found out, because Messiah prayed for this cup to pass away with his heart. What do they think he's doing? Acting? He wanted it to go away in his heart. He prayed, sweating thick drops of sweat as if it were blood. Who wouldn't sweat? Well, the enemy doesn't even know what that tribulation is. It cannot comprehend what it doesn't do or know at all. It cannot comprehend someone that did good, spoke the truth, and was condemned with the murderous wicked, that are robbers, thieves, killers, condemned as them, and everyone around sees him and knows he's wicked because of the image. Can someone imagine that themselves? And now they're killing you and going to kill you. And he goes forward anyways with the Father's will. He does not try to run. He does not try to escape. He does not try to get away. He does not try to resist the evil being done to him, which is, "Let me go! Let me go! Let me go! I'm gonna kill you!" And someone might kill someone when the testing is right on them. That's a test. What will they do in a test? That's what proves things. They look like they're good people, walking at the store, opening the door, smiling. Next thing you know, a test comes on the rich, wicked man that's done a lot of grave sin. Someone shouldn't think that some test that comes isn't deserved for anyone. And if we don't know something and things, then we keep our own business and don't make things up and condemn others. But nevertheless, going and running away from the Father's judgments is also wicked and evil, and saying that they don't exist and that they don't come on people for sin, for all these things, that this never happens, is also evil. Needing to walk right in that fine line, narrow way, not condemning, also believing in his judgment and not lying and running away from that and saying that, no, that's not happening. How does someone know how much evil someone's done from their heart for decades and decades, and then a hard, crazy test comes on them, at some point in life? And it's an example here, and it does happen. It's happening. And that test is such a massive test because the wicked's test is also going to test them and prove what they are utterly, meaning the bigger test proves even more what someone is. That test proved Messiah was of the Father and did good. That test proved it, and it's the biggest at the end. What will he do? Will he resist evil? Will he murder with his heart? Will he try to escape? What will he do? Well, that test will come on the wicked also. Test's already coming, but it will, and I'm giving the big one to see the picture as the last one. And it proves something about the rich, wicked man. It proves something big time. They feel trapped. That's the point. All you did was trap others and do evil to them for decades. Now you feel trapped in a giant, massive test where the only thing you can do is evil. And if you do that evil, fire comes down from heaven for doing that evil. If you turn to the left and do evil, fire comes down from heaven. If you go back, if you go forward, fire comes down from heaven for doing that evil, proving what the carnal man is, proving he doesn't love anyone, proving he doesn't care about his grandkids or anything, proving, like they've shown in the movies, as a very good picture of a test with someone not giving money to some robbers, not giving what they want to receive someone back. Just give the money. It's like, what is that called? Chump change? It's like pennies on the dollar for him. For him it is. Not for everyone, literally. For him it's like pennies. To give a little bit of money, even though it's a lot, but to him, he's got it. He's in abundance. He's got the world's goods and more. He's gained the whole world, lost his soul a long time ago, and now he's utterly losing his soul in a grand test. That test proves how hardened, how wicked, how blind, how stupid, and what a fool the man becomes at the end, the worst he ever is in his life. And that test at the end will prove it. The most selfish, the most misery, the most evil, the most money-loving, the most murderous, the most lustful, the most all things evil it proves. The most hate, that it won't even give some money to other corruptors that the Father's using for a purpose, to put judgment on someone else. And after those robbers rob, judgment's coming on them too. He'll send some other robbers to rob from them. He'll do something. That's what he does. He's using the evil because man is like a puppet to the Father's power. All the evil's foreknown. He knows there is no escaping it. There's no tricking him. There is no scenario or pathway to crawl into or walk down into that escapes his grip. It's already pre-calculated beforehand. It's such a sure thing. And we're supposed to trust that. We're supposed to believe that. That's what believers believe. That he will make it work out for the good. There's no way to prove that without a test, without tests. There's no way to prove that a believer believes that without hard tests. That's what they have to find out. That's what I'm finding out. More so, it keeps growing harder and harder. And then that tree has to grow bigger and bigger in order to handle the harder wind, the harder testing, to see if it is a tree, to see if it is, to test it, to see what it's made out of, to bring forth the good things that we read of, that produces all the fruits of the Spirit, like we read, that produces character. Not the world's definition of character, but the Creator's definition of character.
that it produces for overcoming sin and tests and doing his will. There is no way without a test. Now, does the Father give a massive, giant test to a 1-year-old believer, meaning spiritually small tree, a new believer? No, he does not give a test that's greater than the tree can actually handle. His test does not crack the tree at the base and someone's back cracks in half. And he breaks his people like that and they're done with because they couldn't actually handle it no matter what. He doesn't do that. We're supposed to believe he doesn't do that. It's hard to believe he doesn't do that. It's because it seems like that's what he does do. So then now needing not to falsely accuse him, which is blasphemy, and say that he does that when he doesn't, because that's a hard thing to keep that. That's a hard thing to do. There's no worldly reward to do it. Nobody cares that you do it. Nobody cares that you want to do it and fail, because the failures do come. But then getting back up and moving forward again after a little bit of backwards, forwards more. And that covers all the bases by going back and forth. It's like overlapping paint so that you get good coverage. The Father covers his people. He got it covered. It seems like he will get every square inch covered. He'll find out that wickedness in our heart, and he'll seek it out until there is none. Like we read word for word, he'll search it out, seek it out until there is none. His people, the wickedness in his people, the old man that he forgives, that he covers, he will seek out that wickedness until there is none. What brings it out? The test that proves what we do. Not some time when there's no test. There's nobody home right now except me. I got patience. I'm sitting in a chair. No, it's not. No, that doesn't prove I have patience. It does nothing. Does it look like I have patience if you were to take a picture or video of someone sitting in a chair for hours and hours on purpose so that they can make a video that they have patience? What a fraudulent thing. No one can see the image of the beast is fraudulent. No one can see that the moment it's behind camera, the moment it's for the crowd, the moment it's sold like a product, an act that's sold, it's fraudulent. No one can see. Someone acts humble on purpose, a millionaire, before the camera, before the red carpet, wherever they are. And that means they're humble because they put on the act. They're laughing, smiling, pushing around their sports buddy. Hollywood's doing this and that, whatever the world's doing, laughing, and there's cameras all around them. Man, we can't believe the image. That's an image. It's a double image. It's already an image watching someone's lie that lies to us, that deceives by getting us to sell an image of themselves that they're not, which is deception, which is murder, which is what the devil's works are, lying to Adam and Eve, deceiving them. But Adam and Eve are accountable for being deceived. But the devil deceived them. We have to be aware of the deception because we really could get deceived. And pride says, no, it's not possible for me to get deceived. And now in the heart, a believer has to be real careful for that pride getting in and starting to believe that in the heart, because the Father will make sure we get deceived about something if we start believing that we can't be deceived. It's pride. That is pride. Pride is evil. He hates pride. He resists the proud. There will be nothing shown as long as there's prideful works. We have to do what's right and seek what's right. So the testing is really on all. But the tribulation someone is in, the wicked think it's out of righteousness. That's the evil. No, it's something different. It's not out of righteousness and for the Father's name's sake. They're in trouble and distress and death because of sin, because of unbelief, because of all the evil someone's doing constantly to their neighbor. All the lying, all the deceiving, all the hate, the lack of any care, rejoicing in people's death, like we read the Father doesn't do. He takes no pleasure
in the heart for the death of the wicked. Now we read in Proverbs, do not rejoice or be glad. That word is one, whichever one someone chooses to use. Do not rejoice, do not be glad in the heart for someone's destruction, something like that. In the heart, not the act, not the damnable image, not acting like you're sorry for someone. Oh, boo-hoo. That's, if we don't have it, then we just need to say we don't have it and not act, because that's 1,000 times worse. That's sin. If we just don't have it, he doesn't condemn us for not, but we just have to acknowledge the truth that we are lacking something, and then just be neutral about it. Don't put on the act. Let it be. What does that require? A sacrifice for self, because someone might say you're wicked because you don't look like you're doing something in a scenario where you should look like you're doing something. You look like there's no care, just like they condemn Messiah of no care. They didn't believe he was good. If they believed he cared in their heart, would they murder him? If they really believed he cared about people, would they murder him? Give me a break. Even the devil knows the answer to that. That the answer is no. They wouldn't murder him if they actually believed that he cared. They didn't believe it. They didn't believe his testimony. They won't believe ours either. They didn't believe anything that he said. All of it was kept secret from the foundation of the world, and it still is to those that don't believe. They're not receiving the revelation of Messiah, and the seals are not being unveiled, revealed. The title was Contradiction. That the point was it can be tested. It can be seen. There's signs. We read that. Someone will become a sign and a proverb themselves. So there's always a way, there's always something happening. There's a possibility, a way to see. If we don't see, we must receive and ask. But there's always a possibility and a sign, a sight. There's something to see always. Lies can be proven that they're lies. Contradictions can be utterly proven so that someone knows the truth and knows that such and such is a lie and a contradiction. And if they don't know a truth yet, if we don't know a truth yet, then we can at least know what it's not and not believe a lie, but just wait and be neutral until an answer is given. There's no sin in that. It's sin to believe a lie and not wait and not be neutral and not ask. It's a sin to believe a lie instantly. Working in haste. It takes real patience. Father doesn't lie. The one that works in haste, he will be put to shame. Working in haste is prideful. Working in haste is trying to go before him, run in front of him, think it can run its own race and be its own leader. You shall have no Elohims before me. That includes self. The biggest problem is being God Almighty itself. We ourselves shall not go before Elohim and run before him and have our own self as God, as Elohim before him. But the devil said, you shall be a command, a deceitful command, as Elohims, as gods. That's not the devil saying you shall be in his image. He's selling you shall be in his image for doing my works, the wicked works, the masquerade of the true. Now the parable of the kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field, which a man found and hid, and for joy over it he goes and sells all that he has. Now what if the devil commands to do this part? What if the devil commands someone to do this part? What if they're commanding a lie and they don't know what it means at all, and someone obeys their command? How much unrest and destruction will that man that believes this lie and starts doing whatever they're commanding go into. Anything that's unrest is definitely not of the truth. Anything that causes wickedness and unrest is not the truth, because his yoke is easy and his burden is light. Now, doesn't the carnal mind think carnally? Meaning that's the first thoughts, the former thing, to just go and literally instantly sell everything we literally have. Now, if that was the understanding and meaning, every other thing in the parable we also need to literally do. Can someone see that much to prove what it's not, to prove out the lie? Because this is also a parable, and this is a parable, and this is a parable. Okay, so if the understanding is simply selling every literal thing you got, just doing that real quick and doing it all, just do that real quick. What a hardcore evil command. What a way to destroy someone utterly if they obey it, the carnal command and not the command from heaven. It's like a merchant seeking beautiful pearls. Here's what the enemy can do now. It can go and seek pearls, literal pearls, beautiful pearls, and say that it's of the kingdom. And they'll use the scripture to prove it. Yes, they will. That's how they work. It doesn't matter if they do exactly what I say about this exact. That's what man does. It works the same for all his word. That's what he will do to justify his sin. He will make himself look like he keeps his word, because someone would look like they keep it by literally seeking beautiful pearls. Who wouldn't believe the lie? Look, here it is, they say with devil smirk, with mockery, because they know they're lying somewhere, because they are lying, and they can't actually believe in their heart that they're doing this literal thing, and that it means that, and that they're doing it because they read it. They know that they're doing evil. It's why they smirk. It's why they twitch. It's why they move their feet. It's why they laugh. They smile. They give themselves away. They can't hold it in. They know they're doing evil. They know they're frauds and can't acknowledge it. Who, when he had found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and bought it. Okay. Now we need to sell everything that we have and buy a pearl. Now that's what it means. We're done. We're righteous. When someone does that, they would have to tell the whole world that they did that, wouldn't they? Yes, they do. Nothing but pride in the letter of the law. No, we need to ask Messiah what this means for the heart, and each one can only do it according to whatever's been given on it. Some more, some 30, some 60, some 100-fold, depending on the time, depending on how big the tree is. Father doesn't require more than someone, doesn't require to do more than someone can handle. That's the God-man and the wicked of this world that put heavy yokes and burdens on people. That's the devil putting heavy yokes and impossible burdens that no one could bear, that all the fathers of old couldn't bear. No one actually could bear that crap and evil. Kingdom of heaven is like a dragnet that was cast into the sea and gathered some of every kind. Here's something about the kingdom, because there's more than one thing about everything. Which when it was full, they drew to shore, and they sat down and gathered the good into vessels, but threw the bad away. What on earth, what an empty word this must mean to anyone that hasn't received anything on it. Nothing. What does that mean to them? Nothing. It's zero value. It's worthless. So it will be at the end of the age. The messengers will come forth, separate the wicked from among the just. We are in the last time. We are in the last age. We have been in the last age since Messiah, the beginning of the new covenant, the beginning of the new creation. He is the first and the last. He will wrap it all up and cast them into the furnace of fire. There will be weeping, wailing, and gnashing of teeth, because Isaiah, wherever we read this in Scripture, is being done today. It's being fulfilled today for the same reasons Messiah said about Scripture being fulfilled, so that the Father's word can be fulfilled, proven, tested, a secure proof of who he is, all things. It's doing this for all that purpose. Have you understood all these things? Yahushua said, have you understood all these things? They said to him, yes, master. This right here, they lied. They didn't know what they were doing. They needed to believe and think they understood, because a person doesn't look good when they say, no, I don't understand all these things. Where's some evidence? Where's some proof? How about a second witness to anyone that doesn't believe that they lied? Is that condemning them? No, it's speaking truth. It is the opposite of condemning them. It is not wanting them to be in death. It's just the truth right there at that time. And truth is always good. They did learn, they did know, but in that moment they lied. They did not know all these things. That was the disciples. Where was that now? Where was it now? Oh, here it is. Okay, 1351. Have you understood all these things? He's speaking to the disciples, because that's what, we can read a little above that what he's doing here. Well, let's go a little higher. Then Yehoshua set the multitude away and went into the house, and his disciples came to him. So now, personally saying, what did they ask his disciples? Explain us the parable of the tares of the field. Messiah speaks truth in parables, is answering their question in heaven in truth, meaning he is answering it truthfully and perfectly, even if it doesn't look like it to someone. It will look like it to those that can see the answer. Some 30, some 60, some 100. And the 30 is not condemned, and anything less than 30, as long as it's producing something, that's good. Now Messiah asks down a little later, have you understood all these things? They said, yes, master. Then why did they ask what it means? This is a perfect example of the title of this thing, actually, that just came to mind now. It's working out perfectly for that. Of showing how something's a lie, that it can be shown, that it can be known, that it's not some unknown, clueless thing and it must stay clueless and unknown forever. It's clueless and unknown to those that want it to be that way. It's clueless and unknown forever to those that never ask, that never seek it from him. Then it will remain like that for them. In their heart, it will be that. They will teach other people that. They will want others to believe that. So it must be. Let the filthy be filthy still. Messiah says, you follow me. Let the dead bury the dead. Let them cover the dead. Let them cover the sins of the dead and bury them with dirt. Let them bury other people spiritually burying the dead, taking care of the dead. Let the dead take care of dead things. He says, you follow me. Don't even bury your father. Who on earth could believe that? What on earth? How wicked Messiah must be. How wicked must he look to the world? Let me bury my father first. He says, no. Let the dead bury the dead. You follow me. What's more important to someone? The works of death. It's the teaching. Burying the dead. Involved with things of death. It's not literally about burying a literal dead. That's not what it means. That's not the understanding. It's connected to it. And it has to be if that parable is truth speaking, that higher heavenly truth, but it's not about the image of the thing. But it is connected. That's like the literal picture, but it is not the literal picture itself. So now we got to make sure that we're not wanting to bury the dead and make excuses, because that's an excuse to keep on doing works of death. The wages of sin is death. Bearing the dead is works of death, because the wages of sin is death. And the reason there are dead is because of sin that is producing death, and wanting to bury that is just utter darkness. We need to follow the light and follow Messiah, and not there will be many. That's how it is. It's a hard truth. And he says, suck it up, gird up your loins, stop crying. Stop crying, Ryan. Stop complaining, rather, is what I really mean. Not that literal crying is evil by itself at all, but stop complaining. Strap up your belt, like we read, and stand up to Moses, he says. He will give the mouth to speak. He will be our strength. We can't make excuses, because he's going to do it, and he has to do it. We're not supposed to do our own works. That's death. That is the death, to do our own works. Now there's no excuse also, because he does the works in us to do the works. It's him working in us. It's his power. We can't make an excuse now. Legitimately, we can't make an excuse. There's no legitimate excuse that works with him. Messiah taught the excuses people would make. I got a farm to take care of. I got a new field. I got, today, whatever it is, anything and everything. Because once again, the fruit, all the way back in Genesis, is the works of the heart, works of sin, whether we do the good or the evil, eating the good, eating the evil. So it could be anything that's attached to the intentions of the heart. It becomes sin because it's become one with the corrupt heart. And it has to be discerned whether the outwardly thing is sin by itself or not. Because a lot of times the outwardly thing by itself is not a sin by itself, but it becomes sin because of what any individual is doing. That can become a sin because they worship that, they love that, they take pride in that, they work for that, they show that off, whatever this is, insert in the blank, it could be anything. Anything can become sin because of what the heart is doing, the intentions of the heart, the thoughts of the heart with that thing. Something can become an idol pretty quick and worshipped pretty quick. Aren't idols worshipped? How else are they called idols? Man's heart, it worships it, drawn to it, lusts after it, is connected to it like that. That's idol worship. That's worship going to something else before the Creator. Now, if he is worshipped and no other Elohim is worshipped before him, someone might try to escape and make this look like a lie by saying, well, if the idol is worshipped before the Creator, that coming first, and then try to flip it around and make it look like it's a sin to worship the Creator first and mix idols in there. Like, well, it could be second, third, and fourth. No, it can't. If the Creator is worshipped before all other things and gods, false gods, have no other Elohims before me, there's nothing else that can come, that must come in truth after that, because he's first and there is no other. It's also in there, no other. Whatever an enemy tries to do to try to catch someone in sin and make them out to be a liar because they hate the truth, there is an answer back that will contradict them if they're lying and doing evil. That will be exposed for contradicting, because that's the way the Father made it be. There is a way to always give an answer in truth back that will happen to trap and contradict the one doing evil. Now the heart has to be careful not to do that intention of trapping someone, but doing the truth, and then that truth will trap them. That's a fine line in the heart to do. They won't believe a believer ever does the good. They won't believe it. They will only see what they see in themselves and want to see, which is doing the evil trapping that they're doing right in that moment.
The Pharisees are trying to trap Messiah. That's why they ask fraudulent questions. Fraudulent because they're not true questions from the heart, and they're not with any good intent at all or genuine questions at all. They ask questions and are doing things to try to trap Messiah in sin, to try to prove he's a sinner. If they can find one little speck in their mind, they prove someone's wicked and they condemn them as a sinner, as an unbeliever, as the wicked, as the dead, as someone deserving to go to hell forever. That's what the heart does. That's why they did that. They were trying to trap him constantly in his words to try to make him out to be a sinner in one tiniest thing. It's so far gone from the Creator. It's so corrupt that this tiniest speck that they think they can find on someone is proof in their corrupt mind that someone is wicked and they condemn them. Take the log out of your eye so that you can see the splinter in your brother's eye, we read. That's reality. It's got a log in its eye. Well, he told that to his disciples. That's for us to see so that we don't do this evil, wicked work. There's a log in self's eye in reality, blinder than blind. To take a splinter, what has to be removed? All the massive, contradicting, self-condemning hypocrisy. We can't do the work of condemning hypocrisy, meaning there's a wrathful, angry hatred, condemning someone for what they do, and then we do it ourselves. This work of condemning is the wicked thing that needs to go away. The huge hypocrisy and the blinding is so huge. That's why it's a log in the parable. Needs to go away in order for it to truthfully be able to take a splinter out of someone else's eye. No one can take a log out of another's eye with a log in their eye. They can't even take a splinter legitimately and truthfully. They can't take a splinter out of someone's eye. If they have a log in their eye, it thinks it can do what it can never do in pride all the time. It doesn't know what it means to take a splinter, to not want to see sin in others, to take a splinter, to take a sin, to warn someone, to help them, to make aware of them, doing it the right way that the enemy knows not at all how to do or what to do. It thinks it can do all of that evil through evil, and it's not possible. It has to come out in order to take a splinter out. Meaning, to take a splinter out is that someone's heart is doing it for the intention, for their good, no condemnation. It's out of a care, it's out of a concern, it's out of seeing something, and we need to say it, because if we don't, the blood is on our head for not warning someone when we can and have the ability to see and warn and tell someone about their sin, which is what Messiah did. That's what truth does. The Pharisees only see in him what they are themselves. They're trying to prove Messiah is a wicked condemner because he's speaking truth, which happens to speak about their sin, and it pricks their heart and it makes them rage. And if anyone is spoken to directly about something, it makes them rage because their sin is being revealed. The very thing they kept hidden all their life on purpose, covering. You can't cover yourself on accident. No one can sew fig leaves and sweat to make it and work for hours to make it and then cover themselves to put it on. Father makes sure that there's no way that there's an excuse where someone can say it just slipped on somehow. Yeah, right. It didn't just slip on. First, you have to make it. You have to create it. You have to think about it on purpose. You have to design the lie. Then you have to cover yourself, which doesn't just slip on. I've never seen something just slip on. Oh, one day my clothes just came on in my car. One day I was walking down the street and I went from blue to red. I got red clothes now and it was blue. From black to white, white to black. It's not about the color. They just slipped on. Someone covers themselves on purpose. So then
this taking out of the splinter is a good work, is what Messiah did, his works. It's sacrificing self because no one will believe you. They will condemn you. They will trash your image and help destroy that image, which is what needs to be done. But they're doing evil. They will do evil like they did to Messiah. They will try to trap you in sin and find sin on you. That's their intention. Messiah wasn't trying to find sin and hoping for sin like they were and condemning them. He condemned no man. No one believes that of the Pharisees. They don't believe that. No, they don't. Their works prove they don't believe that. That's why we say they don't believe that, because the works can be seen that prove they don't believe that or do that. But Messiah spoke truth, which revealed the sin, which they think and need to condemn. That Messiah of trashing someone, tearing their image apart, wanting to make them look bad, find sin on them like the world always does constantly. It's astonishing. Jump up and down for how true his word is. It's everyone. Every day his truth can be seen. Everyone's doing this. And yet it's kind of hard to jump up and down when starting to really see this more and more, because it's a horrible thing to see. It's not exactly like a joyful, happy thing to see, and yet it is good to see his truth. We have to see hard things. There's nothing easy. Why didn't he make something easy for once? It seems like there's nothing easy. Nothing comes cheap and easy. It has to be worked for with sweat, and the world's talking about literal work and literal sweat. What good can the image of the true do? The image of the true do? What good can the image do? It's an idol. It's worshipped. What good can hard work and literal sweat do concerning the kingdom of heaven? Does that mean that literal work should not ever be done now? No, it doesn't. So someone will try to condemn that and say that to trap you, because they're doing evil with their heart. They're not asking genuine question. They're not caring about the truth. They're not wanting to know. They're not adding anything good to it. They're trying to trap you. And when that work is being done, they're doing the work of the devil. It's no light thing. They're doing evil. That is an evil work to do, to try to trap someone like that. They're not seeking truth. They don't have to agree with it. That's not what Messiah is forcing anyone to do, and we're not supposed to either. But they don't walk away without sin. They want to destroy you, trap you. They can't leave you alone. It's like a moth that goes to the flame and the light. It just keeps on wanting to get burned by the truth. It just keeps on wanting to destroy itself, and destroy itself with Gehenna fire, sin. But now if someone can start taking a splinter out of the eye, that would have to be the log being removed from their eye. That's how big the hypocrisy and blindness is. I mean, the blindness is so big. That's why it's a log. That's what's needed, a parable, because it's something we see in spiritual. But you can see the hugeness of it, the grand size of it, if anyone has eyes to see. And then more is even given to see. It's not even the full thing yet. More will be given to see, and it's going to be even more rotten to see, because it's getting closer to what that perfectly looks like, of which we do not receive right away, instantly. That has to have patience to grow. It takes patience for a tree to grow. It can't be a 10-foot tree, hurry up, boop, and it's done. And I'm sure every believer would like that at some point. They wanted that, and then we have to find out that it's not going to happen, and then to stop asking for it to happen, because he's not going to break his truth. And to want the Father to do something he does not do and will not do is to want him to lie, to break his word. It's incredible how blind man is. We have to see that and realize that's not right. But in truth, he doesn't condemn his people for not knowing something. But outside the truth, there is no excuse either. Outside the truth, there is no way. They can't make excuse. He doesn't condemn them either for not knowing, but it's the evil in the heart that doesn't want to repent, doesn't want to know. It makes excuses on purpose. It covers itself. He's not putting it on anyone to know, to just boom, you must know. It's repent. It's speak the truth to the neighbor. Speak truth about self. Acknowledge whatever self is. That's the only way someone can learn what sin is. They never learned what sin is by covering themselves. They made sure they wouldn't learn what sin is by covering self. Look at the picture. The nakedness is the sin. If someone covers their sin, they're doing this with the heart. Now they're covering their body. Can they see their own sin? They cannot literally see their own sin. There's something about that where someone goes blind and they can't see their own sin because they covered it. But do you know it's there even after putting clothes on? Do you know, though? Do we know that it doesn't change reality? It's just a cover. Yeah, it's still there. It's still the same. It didn't change. That parable and picture is real in the heart, meaning someone knows that they're a sinner. They know it's there. They hid it. And now how far away someone's covered and buried from the truth, I don't, that's the more years go by, the worse it gets. That's the truth. But one person could be deeper and more hardened than, in sin than another. That doesn't make the other one better at all. Someone can see how the order works. If there's a way to see why someone's not a worse sinner in the Father's eyes. To see how no one is any better than someone that is sinning more or deeper into it. There's a way to see how someone is not better in his sight, in his eyes, even though they sin more. They're not worse sinners or better to the Father. The Pharisees in pride think they're better in the heart than everyone else. Messiah says no, unless you repent. He was saying no to what that heart work is, which is pride, thinking it's better, and pointing out some outwardly thing you can see that proves there's so much wicked, worse sinners than they were. He says no, unless you repent. They were not worse sinners. You will die in your sins unless you repent. You also likewise will perish, just the same, no different. See, everyone's only looking at the image. It doesn't mean that nobody sins or that their sins aren't bigger because of being deeper in it, because of decades of being hardened, because of someone like Hitler. That would be to lie if we said he didn't do more outrageous evil. He did than the average person, but Hitler is no worse or better in the Father's sight. According to truth, according to what sin is, everyone's guilty. It's all the Father's things anyways. He's doing all things. So in the flesh, no one is truly better than someone. And because someone does less evil, it's the Father restraining them for doing a greater or more worse abomination. It's all him anyways. That's part of why no one is better in his sight, because he's doing all things anyways. Everyone is dirt. Everyone should be level, the same, even like the dirt at ground level. But man starts thinking he's something other than dust. That's pride. It was never wrong or evil or bad for Adam and Eve, like we must do, to acknowledge it's dirt. It wasn't evil for man to be dirt. Then the Creator would have done evil in that literal work, but he doesn't do evil. It's for a purpose the way something is, and that purpose has to be found out. It's not a sin to be the dirt. It's a sin to stray from acknowledging it's dirt. That's the heart of all sin right there, is to say we're something 10 feet above dirt or 1,000 or 50,000 or up in space. We're going to jam in space. And when the earth is corrupted someday, one day when the earth is corrupted, well, a few hundred years from now, I suspect evil is coming, and the beast is coming someday.
anti-Messiah spirit is coming someday. You just wait and see as I wave my finger and point to somebody else than me. I'm keeping an eye out just in case he does come in our generation, this beast. Keep an eye out and have discernment for this beast. I got my binoculars out the window every day, every night, watching for the beast. It looks like I've ran out of some words. Well, that's just what happens.
So that's man in general, mankind with that belief in its heart, tricking everyone in the heart to believe that this beast is not here at all, that it's coming someday as if it doesn't exist and hasn't always been. How do you believe the words in Revelation? It was, it is to come. It was and is and yet is and it's not and yet it is and it goes out to perdition. How do they believe that word? That's another way to see something's a lie and a contradiction. Just like with the disciples saying, yes, we understand, Master. We understand all these things, because they answered yes to all these things, all these parables, and the parables are one. If they had all understanding for one parable, they have understanding for all parables, because his truth is one. But the way he works is he gives a little bit of understanding, and that little bit of understanding spreads out to all the other truths. And then the whole base grows a little bit bigger and it spreads out to all the other parables, and then it grows a little bit bigger because they're one, because they're all one. But then they say, what does it mean? That's a contradiction. That proves there's a lie going on somewhere. They understand what all these things mean. See, now when someone's exposed, they're going to have to pick apart something there. They're going to have to change the definition of Messiah's word there, or whatever word it is. They're going to try to change the definition and twist it like their father, the devil of old. It still is, was, is, yet to come. That serpent of old did, deceiving and beguiling Eve, and Adam giving that fruit and deception to Adam. And Adam's guilty for not doing anything about it, and exposing Eve and saying, this is sin. We will not have it. No, but he eats it. He does the sin himself. He eats it himself. Because you took heed of your wife, Eve, you will be punished. Why is Adam punished? Specifically, the big thing here, he took heed to his wife, which means to listen, to obey, to go along with. Adam is punished for going along and obeying his wife's evil desire to destroy Adam, to destroy her own house with her own hands. A woman tears her house down with her own hands, we read. No one's going to like to hear that. That's guilty of it. No woman in the world is going to like to hear those words. That is guilty of doing what that word means for the heart. So who can be loved? That speaks any kind of truth. It's a sacrifice of self. It's a sacrifice of the old man and letting it go and not caring for real about what it looks like, what will happen, what people believe of you. And no, that's not perfected in me. It's not perfected yet. And yet that's the way where it needs to grow more true every day. And the Father just knows how to do it. He has a way on how to make the test bigger that reveals even more deeper things, bigger, of the same word, of the same sin, of the same corruption, a bigger test to reveal it's even deeper than you thought. It's still there, but it's deeper. And then that has to be overcome. And then there's more. What is this? Is that all he wants to do is just find out that we constantly say we're sinners, that we're no good and wicked? That the purpose of everything, to just constantly find out we're wicked? It sure seems like it. I know that's the truth, but that's what it sounds like. It seems like it. It sure looks strongly like that's all it is. Which sounds and looks evil, doesn't it? You already know we're all wicked, so what do you need to dig up more sin and have us find out more wickedness that you already know about? Without answers to that question and these questions, it can only be seen as evil. Without any understanding, the Father himself, it can only be seen as evil. It's already like that first. That's the former things, because the natural man is at enmity with Elohim. He cannot receive the things of the Spirit of Elohim. He projects his darkness onto others and onto Elohim. That's what man does, and he needs to know and to stop doing that. He projects himself onto his word without ever seeking it and receiving his truth, because Messiah said, "My truth is not my own." It's not his. It was given. It's his through being given, but it's not his in that he created it and came up with it and owns it. But now he does have it, and it's his because it's given. Big difference. Two different things, speaking of. Two different things. And it's not, once it's seen, it's not complicated to the understanding. The truth is simple when the two things are rightly divided and separated and each one being spoken for. It's not complicated after all, or confusing like lies are, like contradictions are. As soon as someone is full of sorcery and they go by you and say a few words to you, say some kind of deception, sorcery, it tries to dump its wicked sorcery and confusion on you. That's why someone gets confused right away. It's happened too many times to me, where someone's dumped their sorcery and their confusion and their condemnation. They're trying to dump, you can feel it, you can see it, it's flinging your way. It's like a bunch of rotten food hitting your face. You can feel the weight of the confusion that they are in, that they tried to dump on you because they love you so much. They don't bear their sin. They don't bear their load. They don't bear anyone else's burdens. They dump them, which is all hate and evil, onto anyone and everyone else. It only is out for itself to save itself, like a wild lion that kills, steals, and destroys so that it can kill, steal, and destroy some more tomorrow. To survive and live, literally, as a beast in the field, of which the Father calls man many times, and man can't see it, that he's a beast in the field, that Nebuchadnezzar is a beast. He's on the ground. He's like a beast. The Father makes him into a beast. He takes away and zaps whatever was given, even that was given by the Almighty. He takes it away so that Nebuchadnezzar can see that it was from him. That's the understanding, so that we can see it's even that is from him. What we thought was our own was from him, because he could take it away to prove it was from him. If something is taken away from us that we did not actually want in our heart taken away, that's proof it's not ours. That is, it doesn't get more strong proof to the damnable carnal mind for how prideful it is at all times about everything. Poor little God man can't do anything about it, and he still doesn't accept the truth. He still rejects it. He still doesn't acknowledge that it's not his own things, that everything is given, that it didn't happen because God man said so with his mouth, but it sure looks like it in this world, doesn't it? I did that. I dropped that. See, let me do it again. I did that. I dropped that. And the Father allows and sends a strong delusion for someone to get deceived that does not love the truth and wants to believe a lie like that. And this lying image that this proves some kind of prideful, evil free will that man does not have, completely detached from the Creator and all of his creation, free will, the greatest gift the devil ever gave. But they do say God, but let it be known what God they're speaking of. It is the devil. It is the God of this world that they speak of. It's the devil's gift, so-called gift. This gift is designed to destroy you. That's all the devil can do. It's not an actual gift according to what good gift is. Evil is just passing by. It's utterly going to be destroyed. It's being destroyed, and it will be as if it never existed, because the only thing that's good is whatever is good and true that the Creator is. So it's a temporary thing for a purpose. It's not real. It's going back to what it was, meaning non-existing. It popped out so that it can be exposed for what it is, to reveal what is good, because there's no way to reveal good, light, and truth without this beast, and without an enemy, and without darkness and sin. There is no way. And if someone can think a way, call me at 503, but that would be serious, actually, because there is no way, and I know there's not. But I would like to hear what on earth someone thinks. If they try to say there is a way, show us, prove it. Someone will already be naturally doing this truth, earthly truth, that points to the heavenly without even realizing it. When they try to contrast something and make you see something, they're already doing the natural of this heavenly truth. It's the only truth. It can't be seen how good and what good is without some kind of darkness and evil, to whatever degree. The degree doesn't matter now. It's just that it has to be some kind of darkness and evil. No one can see the stars and the moon at night without darkness. It reveals the star and the moon, the stars and the moon. And when the Father's light is out, it's so bright that not even all the other lights can't even be seen, because they're light. They blend in. It's one. There's no contrast. If it was all light, his people would not be seen. The moon would not be seen. And the stars, his people, like the stars in heaven that the seed will be, would not be seen. But the world is darkness, therefore anyone that's a true light can be seen, and they stand out and they stick out, and Messiah says, you're supposed to, not out of pride like the whole world's doing, but to not hide that light under a bushel like we read, like he said. It's meant to be seen. Doesn't that sound prideful? Because the prideful thing is the second thing, is the wicked thing. It is not the first thing. It's the copy and the masquerade of the image of the true. This, a carnal man and a carnal mind that's in unbelief, cannot believe this, that what it is a beast and a monster, only created to be destroyed, for the true to come someday, and for believers right now to come, the new man. They'll be destroyed also the same way believers are being destroyed now, that the flesh is being destroyed now, and everything that's carnal in believers, they also will be destroyed, so that they have the new man also. Because the Father's not partial, is he? No, he's not partial. He's only going to do to a very few. The miracle that he's doing now, and the miracle he did for Messiah, he's going to just do for a few forever. Well, that's what they say. It's blasphemy. They call him partial. Once again, going back to the point of revealing a lie, a contradiction is not truth, and it can be revealed and proven. There's different pathways, there's different steps to prove out a lie as a lie. It can be proven. That's why we read, test, and prove all things. That includes the thing we deal with most, lies in the world, that is, and evil. It's darkness all around. What does the light do? It exposes the darkness. It walks around and it's a light.
in the world. Exposing what? Light? No. It exposes only darkness. What else does light expose? Creation teaches that light only exposes darkness. It does not expose light. There's no reality to that. Good cannot expose good, and darkness cannot expose light. It's not possible because light is always good, and a good works from above, and it's the Father's very works. Darkness is evil works, and darkness can't expose good works because they're already good. They're not sin. Darkness can't believe. It's astonished. It's in dismay, staring up at the stars, worshiping the stars, in dismay about the truth. It can't believe it. And I'm trying to bring out in words what the heart is. It's perplexed. It cannot believe the delusion it's in. It cannot believe in the truth when it sees it. I've never seen it. It would be a miracle to see. I can't say I'll never see it. You know, in real life, face to face, it's like, where is it? Where is someone that's of the truth? And it's not to say there's not a few that are, but in this world, compared to how rare it is, because it can be seen whether someone is light or darkness. It can be seen if someone is of darkness by the light. Now another darkness can't see anything, can't see its own works, it can't see anyone else's, it can't discern, it can't judge. It just does the condemnation and wicked judgment. It doesn't actually care in its heart whether it's right or wrong. It cannot believe it's wrong out of pride about any judgment it makes. Once it makes a judgment on you, it's over. Have a nice life, says God man that judged you. And if it was wrong, of which it is all the time, they can't take it back in their heart because that would prove what? Sin. That would prove a bad image. You would look bad in this world. Now, the devil very much cares about the image. That's his righteousness. That's his covering. Adam and Eve's covering is to look righteous. It's to honor him with with the lips and the mouth. That is what they will do. That is their righteous cover, self-righteous covering. In contrast to the Father's righteousness revealed. I might as well find that verse that speaks on it directly. Well, John 17:25 is something also that has the word righteous in it. 17. Now Messiah is praying, and even this, he prayed for their sake. Wouldn't even do it out loud in front of his disciples for their sake. Wouldn't even do that normally. I believe we read that somewhere. For their sakes I sanctify myself, that they all, and it's for our sake, because, well, we have his word. They are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. Anyone that divides this right in half is a liar and a deceiver. It must be so, it is so, if they divide this and try to say believers don't have to be as this, and Messiah is not like this, or these are one. A believer must not be of the world also. Just as, even as I am not of the world. Doesn't that sound like you don't like exist or something in the world? That's not what it means. That's the image. The image isn't the truth alone. That's not it. To be not of the world is not to dig a hole in the ground and live in it, under the dirt. It doesn't mean that. I do not pray for these alone. Here's one word on this. He does not pray for these alone, not just them, but also for those who will believe in me through their word. Look what the new text does. Look what the NU text does. Such an important verse too, that says, he says it plainly about that teaching, that it's not just about the 12 disciples, that someone can make it look like about, so that they do away with all his word and make it void and no effect for every believer afterwards. They would like to pump that lie in someone. They like to pump it in with 1,000 PSI of pressure. He does not pray for these alone, but also for those who will believe in me through their word. That includes every believer all the way to this day, whoever they be. That includes the ones in 2023, that much later. What does it do? New text, omit will. Oh, just the word will. But for those who, yeah, well, that does change it. Look at a way also to prove something, to see whether it's true, to see whether something is so or not. The context of the literal words also is discernment. I do not pray for these alone. They don't dispute that, the new text. There's no footnote there. I do not pray for these alone. Now, what does that mean? Well, the second part of the same verse adds to what it means, but also for those who will believe in me through their word. It's connected. It makes sense. It doesn't make sense without the word will. Now the first part isn't broken with the second part. I do not pray for these alone, but also for those who believe in me through their word. Not as if that wouldn't be true, but it's connected. It makes sense to have the word will, because that goes with, I don't pray for these alone, but also for those who will believe in me through their word. It becomes nonsense without the word will. They make Messiah out a liar to try to give a different text that corrupts his literal word. That's what that text is, corrupt. I do not pray for these alone, but also for those who believe in me through their word. Okay, Messiah is a liar now. They say Messiah is a liar now. What on earth does that mean? I do not pray for these alone, but also for those who believe in me through their word. So the disciples didn't believe in him through the word. The first disciples and the beginning of belief in Messiah, the first believers that ever believed in him, they didn't believe in him through their word. What's the point of this? What's the intention? What does it mean now? I do not pray for these alone, but also for those who believe in me through their word. There's something different about these. Isn't that what also means? I don't pray for these alone. Whose are those? The 12, the beginning, the first disciples that were with him in the flesh, but also for those who believe in me through their word. What on earth is that? It's broken. These didn't have the word. These didn't have scripture. These didn't believe through the word. Fixed by not corrupting it and taking it out. You wicked devil. You take one word out and it does corrupt something sometimes when you take one word out or change one word. It does do that sometimes. But also for those who will believe in me. Well, that changes the whole entire meaning, literally, doesn't it? Without the word will, it's not that I can't understand, because I see it already, whatever I see on it. But look at it by itself. I don't pray for these alone, but also for those who believe in me through their word. It's like trying to be something and it can't, because it's broken without that word. Now it's starting to imply something else than it really actually means. It's implying what? As if the first believers did not believe in him through their word? There. Don't touch it, man. Oh man. Now it actually makes literal sense. I do not pray for these alone, but also for those who will believe in me through their word. Specifically, speaking about every believer that would believe, to make sure the Father has a word, that he cares about all, that Messiah wasn't just doing all that for just them, the 12, and anyone else that would have believed early on there. That's what it's meaning, not just them alone. Doesn't mean he doesn't care about those beginning disciples. Someone can say it sounds like that because they want to be special through pride. No, it doesn't mean that. All are one. And I've seen too many examples of this critical text with problems worse than, well, I mean, how much worse does it get besides corrupt and a lie that make Messiah a liar? Another obvious one is to be that someone is in danger of the judgment, strong judgment Messiah is speaking of, for hating someone, for hating a brother. I mean, for calling a brother, for being angry at a brother. Someone is in danger of the judgment for being angry at a brother. That's it. That's what the critical text says, because it removes without a cause. It says it shouldn't be there. Evil, snakes. Implying that Messiah is a wicked liar and every other believer that ever lived is a wicked liar and a sinner and don't exist. That's what it implies. It's either very good or very bad. As soon as it's a corruption, it instantly turns it to very bad. It has nothing to do with the truth. Get away. Stay away. Lie. Nothing to do with the truth. Far from it. Not connected at all. They hated him without a cause. If that was taken away, they just hated him and not without a cause. Yeah, that does corrupt it. That does change the meaning that it really is. It is without a cause, and the devil doesn't believe that, and the devil hates it, and I've seen it in real life too many times. They don't believe without a cause. It's not how these kingdoms work. There needs to be a cause no matter what in these kingdoms. The devil does evil without a cause. Oops. The enemy does evil without a cause, without a righteous cause at all, because it's blind. And that works for its own saving of its soul. Someone could see it. It's disgusting. It's evil. It works to save its own soul, because when there's no cause, this actually has to happen. There can't be a cause. This has to happen in order for the second thing to happen. If someone does evil to a believer without a cause, and let's just say, for an example, they're taken to court, which a believer won't do. Now, in the example, there's no cause in reality. The believer is instantly condemned and looks like the wicked person because the devil did it without a cause. Can someone see that? Instantly, it's already over. They won't believe a believer just for that fact alone, because they'll say you're crazy and insane for saying you're doing that. He did such and such, which we're not to do that. This is just an example, to go around and complain and go to court and sue people. But as an example, believer says this is what happened. And then they ask you why. And you say without a cause. You're done. You're smoked. Watch them crap all over you. That's what will happen. You're done. If it's without a cause, you're already, what's the answer? Stay away from the courtroom. Stay away from all of it. Walk away from the enemy as if they don't even exist. When they try to attach themselves to you and try to get you to be connected to their wickedness so that they can see your fall. The only thing they lust to see is you fall and be destroyed. Yes, they do, and they can't acknowledge it. They won't acknowledge it. They don't want to repent. Repent, enemy. Repent, says the word. There's a big reason to repent, because there's a ton of evil being done. A lot of murder, a lot of false accusations and lies that no one cares about that it's being done. Someone is smoked for an enemy doing something to you without a cause. So then seek the Creator's truth on what to do. Walk away, because the answer will be not to do evil. If it's coming from the Father, it will be do no evil to the person. And then if we do what's right, they will be on fire. They will burn. It will be as if coals are on their head, and their head will burn for doing what's right, because now the Father will bless that believer and also put the full judgment for doing what's right only onto the enemy that did it evil. And that takes severe patience to believe and severe faith to believe, because a lot of times you have to walk away never seeing the person again, believing the Father will judge them for doing a great evil to you, for doing a great evil to the Apostle Paul. That man, the coppersmith, did a lot of evil to me. Judge him according to his works, he says. And the apostle's not saying that with a light-hearted smile on his face. Uh-oh. Must mean he's sinning automatically. Automatically, he's doing wickedness. He's not conforming to the image of the beast. Maybe he's a little bit angry, saying that the coppersmith did him a lot of evil. Well, the Father's angry at the wicked every day. Where's the scripture on to jump up and down and rejoice for seeing evil? Where's that? Yet now it's a narrow way that the enemy can't find. They see the left thing, the right thing, and no way for both of them to be true at the same time. There is no pathway given, only a contradiction and picking one of the left or right carnal extremes and carnal ways. That's the best I could say it in words for how it's working. It sees a contradiction only because there's no answer for, you say the one thing and the other sounds contradicting to the other, because it does sound like that. How do you live it now? How do you do both of them without contradicting? That's what has to be found out from above. No man on earth is going to give that to someone, including believers. They don't make the actual seed grow. They don't give the actual power and truth and spirit, even if they're giving something. But it's, if someone receives something, it's because the Father's really giving it to them. It's because he's doing it. And it could be through someone, which is the purpose, but the believer themselves is not doing what the Father is doing. If someone has, it's because the Father himself has given himself from himself. But he's working through his people, through humanity. This is the contradiction, that the more someone sees, the more they'll see in the world. It's a tribulation to see more in the world. No believer ever wanted that. They didn't seek the Creator. They didn't seek his truth of themselves. They never asked for it. They never knew what his truth would be. It's a terror to find out more of what his truth is. And it's also good, but it's also incredibly difficult. It's also something that we know we never wanted from self and never comprehended or thought it would be this way. That's how we also know it's not from self. It wasn't created by self. The truth doesn't come from self. It didn't come from Messiah's self, but from above given. The truth is not my own, he said. Now I forgot, because this was just a side track verse, I think, what I was, let me see here. John 17. I'm not sure right now. How is it possible for the Father to love Messiah before the foundation of the world? For you have loved me before the foundation of the world. The glory that they may behold my glory, which you have given me. The Father's not given anything by anyone. We even read that plainly. Messiah has because he's given, because he did the Father's will and asked. He did everything that he teaches. He's not a hypocrite.
Righteous Father, O righteous Father, the world has not known you, but I have known you, and these have known that you sent me. I have declared to them your name, and will declare it, that the love with which you love me may be in them, and I in them. Father declares his name to his people in their heart. It's a big thing to come in his name. It's not just the literal name by itself. That's not the heart of what Messiah is saying. Not that he doesn't declare his name, but it's much greater than what it sounds like with just his name. Because the false prophets come in his name. It's a pretty massive sin to come in his name and have nothing to do with him. It's not just coming in any other person name in this world. This is the creator we're speaking of. This is the perfect one. This is the one that created all things, and his power unimaginable by any carnal, worthless, tiny mind we have, like a worm. Lesser than a worm before him, it must be. Like a man looking down at a worm. How could a man care about a worm? How could the creator care about people? We read that in Job. I forget what I was searching for earlier. Oh. If you know that he is righteous, you know that everyone also who practices righteousness is born of him. See how great the Father love is bestowed on us. Great a love the Father has bestowed. Matthew 6:1. Still not the verse I was looking for, but let's go to 6:1. Take heed that you do not do your charitable deeds before men to be seen by them. Otherwise, you have no reward. Let's see what a different translation does with that. ESV. Be careful not to practice your righteousness. Other MSS, read charitable giving. Now, someone might question, well, that seems like a variance, slight variance in, practice your righteousness, charitable deeds. Let's see what the NIV does. No footnote, not to practice your righteousness. ESV. Beware of practicing your righteousness. Well, I guess most of them say it like that. Or have that. Be careful not to display your righteousness merely to be seen by people. Otherwise, you have no reward. KJV. Take heed that you do not do your alms before men to be seen of them. And the New King James is saying that same thing, but just instead of alms, charitable deeds, which alms are. So most of them don't say charitable deeds. ASV, that you do not your righteousness before men. That you do not your righteousness before men. If it's a lie, it can be proven a lie. If it's not the truth, there's going to be a problem. We have to be given sight to see what it is. There will be a contradiction spiritually. If it's a lie, every time without fail,
I'm remembering something about this, but I want to see a few more. It seems, let's see what the Young Literal says. Take heed your kindness not to do before men. Huh? What? You say Messiah said this. Maybe it should say, take heed that you do your wickedness before men. Even the devil should have a problem with this image, the image of these literal words. Take heed your kindness not to do before men. Well, I know we have to be careful with everything in his word and Messiah's teachings because of the parable, because of understanding that it's a parable and his teachings are, not just the strictest literal thing, but we do need discernment for every given word on what it's speaking of and what it's meaning. But take heed, take warning not to do your kindness before men. That doesn't sit right in my heart. Beware of practicing your righteousness before men. Now, I guess the Young's Literal is saying this basically, but kindness for some reason representing that. We're not supposed to be kind before others. No, there's something wrong with this. Beware of practicing your righteousness before men. So what should we practice to be noticed by them? What does it mean then to shine your light? Let's find a contradiction right now. Now the devil's going to have to answer some questions that we have. Yes, you do have to answer the questions. Can't get away with anything. You got to answer. Snake, serpent. Matthew 5:16, let's go to that. Now, we already had a couple examples, just I came over them, one of with the disciples saying, we understand all these things, and yet they asked just before that, what does it mean? Now they understand all these things. A little bit of a problem, revealing something's not right, some kind of lie, contradiction, two things that can't be true at the same time in the heart, spiritually. You can't understand all these things while asking a question, because asking a question is not understanding, of which there's no sin to ask and not understand. It's a sin to say, I know, when we don't know. That's the sin. But see, that's a contradiction. So that's the point of this, is what came to mind initially, is proving and testing all things, showing that every lie can be seen, that doesn't have to be confusion, meaning the answers can be given by the Father for all things. Someone promoting and saying that you'll be confused forever, there is no way, no one can know anything, not good, not true. That doesn't mean someone's the creator now and knows literally all things. That's nonsense to try to contrast him to ourselves, to him, his power, that no one will ever be. He is Elohim alone. Nevertheless, he can give the answers. And if someone doesn't believe that, they won't receive. Okay, now we have in Matthew, same book, Messiah saying, now let's read a little bit. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its flavor, how shall it be seasoned? So now salt, if it loses the main thing that people use it for, what is it then? It is then good for nothing, but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men. You are the light of the world. Well, Messiah is not speaking to the devil. This applies to those that he knows and is speaking to, that are his people, not the devil, not just anyone applies for this. It would be very good if they did, but this The world doesn't do that work. It just assumes everyone's a believer. So many. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. This true light that he's speaking of, the light of the world, it cannot. Maybe cannot means you can, says the serpent. Maybe cannot means it can.
Strong's G 3756. Ooh.
Ooh,
Ooh.
ooh, hidden. Cannot be hidden. No, not. Indirect questions expecting an affirmative answer is translated as not 1,210 times KJV Strong. No, 147. Cannot, 57. And then it doesn't, it just says miscellaneous, I guess 123. I'm not sure exactly what do they have there, but this is pretty clear, pretty strong. 1,200 times not, 1210, 147. No, it doesn't mean can. Every word is true. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. You are the light of the world. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket. What's the point of that? That's stupid. But on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. What's the purpose of the light existing? For self only, to give light to all who are in the house, everyone around, right? And in the house, a city on a hill cannot be hidden. A light, let your light. This is a command for his people by Messiah. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works. Everything can be tested in his word. If it's one, there won't be a contradiction. What does good mean? Does it not mean righteous? Oops. Does good mean unrighteous or righteous? Because the enemy always does this. It says you can't do this. Good, 83 times. Beautiful, handsome, excellent, choice, surpassing, precious, useful, suitable, commendable, admirable, beautiful to look at, magnificent, good, excellent, and characteristics, therefore, genuine, approved, precious, join, competent. It's got a lot for this. Beautiful, very reason, heart and life, morally good, noble, honorable. Now, this same exact word, Messiah uses it, bringeth not forth good fruit. There's the word, that's that word, good. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works. A little bit of context here for this word. Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit. What is good fruit? It's righteous fruit. Good is righteous. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit. Good does not bring forth evil. Neither can a corrupt tree bring forth, that same word, good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. So that's simple enough. But now look at the problem. The lamp can't be hidden. It's not meant to be hidden. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works, righteous works, and glorify your Father in heaven. Then do not think I came to destroy the law or the prophets, but to fulfill a command. Why? So that people see it. That's the purpose, for the light, for the Father's works and believers to be seen. Now let's go back to Matthew 6:1, the next chapter. Beware of practicing your righteousness before men, to be noticed of them. Otherwise you have no reward with your Father who is in heaven. Now, especially the Young's literal here, which I'm surprised a little bit that take heed your kindness not to do before men, to be seen by them. If not, If you don't take heed, reward ye have not from your Father who is in heavens. So this is saying to watch out, be careful that your kindness not done before men, to not be seen by them. What's the NASB 20 say? Incredible. Take care not to practice your righteousness in the sight of people to be noticed by them. Otherwise, you have no reward with your Father who is in heaven. Let's not deny it. That's the problem also. Someone can't deny it. Face it. Face the contradiction, because there's no other way to receive an answer and ever learn it or know it. This contradicts. This is a spiritual contradiction with Messiah's very own words. Let your light so shine. The light is the Father's good works, and we can use Scripture to connect this light with good works, with righteous works. But I'm not going to go into that right now, and I probably already happened to do that already, maybe, before men, that they may see your good works. Why? To be seen, the good works. Now, kindness, isn't kindness a good work? Is it a good work or evil work? Well, it's neither. That's what the devil's going to do, because we're speaking and asking truth out of the heart with concern, with care, that the enemy doesn't believe. And that question, someone starts getting afraid and angry, wrathful, because it's exposing what can be seen if it's a lie that they think can be hidden forever, that no one can see. If it's a lie, there's a contradiction already, period, somewhere, somehow, and it can be proven, seen, and tested. I didn't always believe that. That's why I'm saying it, because we don't believe that first. We don't know that first, but it is so, and I'm seeing more proof of it. And so if we come across something new, we shouldn't think that there's no answer and that it'll never be given, that it's a contradiction, literally. No, that's us being wrong then. But to wait for the answer just like before, just like receiving before about something from him. I can't believe this. Messiah's very own words. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works. That's the righteous works. The light is good works. Seen on purpose, that they may see. Why? To see on purpose your good works. Aren't the stars meant to be seen? So that, we're looking at the natural now, looking up to the heavens. The moon and the stars, to be seen in a dark world, to give light to men, to show that it exists, to show that it's real, to show that, and all of this has to be done without pride. But now we have a command and the truth, and now here we are reading in most translations, take care not to practice your righteousness in the sight of people, to be noticed by them. What else is there to do? Devil. Hello? Hello? Screaming, asking somebody to answer. What else is there to do? What do you really mean by this, serpent? What is your answer for what we should do, since this is what not to do? Tell me what that means for what I should do. What should I do out in the world if I make sure that no righteousness is seen in the sight of people to be noticed by them all times, or else I have no reward? It's so big, it's so serious. Tell me what to do. Does righteous mean righteous for those that say this is the truth, these words are right? Someone says those are the words. That's the meaning right there. Show me how this is not a contradiction between Messiah's, both of these words from Messiah, one chapter to another. Show me how on earth we're to do this, to be a lampstand, a light, to shine before men, that they may see your good works, which are righteous works. If you say good is not righteous, show us how. Show me why I can't say that good works is righteous works, to be seen by men.
and show me how to keep this word also at the same time in this life. To not practice your righteousness in the sight of people to be noticed by them. Otherwise, you have no reward. Show me how to live these two things. I need help. Please, translators, anybody, people that study scripture literally all day long, whatever, righteous men, anybody, unbelievers, help us. What does it mean? How do I live both of these? What does each one mean, and explain how it does not contradict? Because I don't see any way that it doesn't contradict. Not appearing to contradict, but an actual contradiction. Are you saying Messiah contradicts? How blind is the enemy, man? That's what I suspect someone would do. No, not saying Messiah contradicts, but it does look like it. No, I'm talking about man. I'm talking about man's corrupt heart. First, tell me, man and translators and anybody that says this is what it is. Show me how this doesn't contradict with Messiah's very own words in the next chapter, previous chapter. Tell me what it means. You can't just put it there and now say nothing. You can't just read these words and now not ask the question. What is this about? What is the context here also? What's the next verse? When you give to the poor, like a continuation almost, maybe because it is. So when you give to the poor, well, there was nothing about giving to the poor here, was there? Now, it's not to say one little witness is all by, no, but it does count for something. It's a little strange that we read, so when you give to the poor, as if it's a continuation and there was nothing about it that Messiah said here. It's implying that he's lying again, because that's all that lies do, is imply that someone is lying. Besides them trying to hide their lies is dumping that they're lying, making someone else look like a liar. If you corrupt Messiah's words, you will make him look like a liar elsewhere now. Now, that's also how something can be proven that it's not right, that it's a lie. Because now elsewhere he's looking like he's a liar, implied as a liar. So when you give to the poor, do not sound a trumpet before you as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and the streets, so that they will be praised by people. Truly I say to you, they have their full reward in full. We read about being praised. Take care not to practice your righteousness in sight of people. So that means to not show our light and shine our light, the devil says, that Messiah said. Make sure you don't shine a light, the good works, the righteous works, in front of people to be noticed by them. Otherwise, you have no reward. Now, when you give to the poor, do not sound a trumpet. Who believes this? Who's keeping that? Who doesn't sound a trumpet and break Messiah's word on giving to the poor? Literally make a charitable gift. Now let's go to the answer. All these different translations, I don't know about all of them, but I checked quite a few just now. What's the RSV do? Beware of practicing your piety. Now, is that the word for giving? That actually might be right. No, that's just a different word for righteousness, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. So in this case, it's like the King James and New King James are the only ones basically that don't say, well, practicing righteousness is a contradiction. I did all that to prove his word contradicts, even Messiah himself. And unless someone can answer it, that's it. It's a contradiction. Complete contradiction between Messiah's very own teachings. Shine your light, don't shine your light, don't do good works. Good works are the light. Light are the good works. Don't practice your kindness, your righteousness to be seen by men. I know what he's speaking of and what it's meaning. But that Messiah is not a liar. It's not a contradictor. Therefore, remember the NASB said so when, like as if it continued. Well, this translation, New King James, is a second witness. Therefore, as if he's continuing. There was no continuing, because the first verse, all these translations didn't say anything about giving, about charitable giving deeds. Take care not to practice your righteousness in the sight of people, to be noticed by them, is what they all say, that Messiah said for verse 1. So when you give to the poor, well, at least they got that much right. Now that New King James, therefore, when you do a charitable deed, well, this is even stronger. Therefore, when you do a charitable deed, isn't it implied and connected that there was something about giving spoken just before that, which is helping connect the word, which is helping prove something is wrong with the reading of don't practice your righteousness to be seen by people, that it should be charitable deeds and giving specifically that Messiah is talking about, because the devil wants to hide that and change that, because it's what he does the most. Every day, every business, every image, every person makes themselves righteous because they sound the trumpet for their charitable giving and deeds and make themselves righteous before men to be seen by them for their giving, their charity. Here's what Messiah actually said that the New King James has right, and so does the King James, that they didn't pervert and change with new text, whatever. This is what he said, and there's evidence in the second verse that they don't even change, because the devil goes blind. There's a connection that this is the right words. There's evidence. Take heed that you do not do your charitable deeds before men to be seen by them. This is different than practicing righteousness and kindness. Don't practice kindness at all. So when should I practice kindness? Only when someone does good to me? Okay, we have a word for that. What reward will you have for only doing good to others that do good to you? So only practice kindness in secret. Don't do it out in the world that wants to slaughter you. Don't do good out in the open to be seen. Hide your good works, never do them. Okay, when and where do you do them to besides your neighbors? See, that's how tight-knit his word is. The devil can't actually expose the devil for contradicting, for lying. Proof of lying, proof of something is wrong. All connected. Take heed you do not do your charitable deeds before men to be seen by them. This is with the intention to be seen for the giving. To not sound the trumpet like we read. To not do it for the intention of being seen by them. Don't do it for that reason, that the whole world does constantly. Maybe that's why it changed it in all these translations, because the devil hates it a lot. Now he speaks of the giving, charitable deeds before men to be seen, otherwise you have no reward. Now look at this, it fits perfectly. Therefore, when you do a charitable deed, now that fits perfectly like earlier, without the word will. He will, for all those that will believe through their word in me. You take out the word will and there's a problem. There's a lie, there's a contradiction. It can be proven, can be seen. It's broken, it breaks it. This puts it back together because it's not broken. It's just learning the truth. It's not trying to break what's already not broken. Therefore, when you do a charitable deed, continuing from what he said earlier, this is the right reading. All the other ones put in practicing righteousness and not to ever be seen are wrong, is evil. To hide that charitable deeds is what he's talking about, to corrupt, to confuse someone. It's all the devil does. Do not sound, now he adds a little more weight to what he means by not to do your charitable deeds before men to be seen by them. Therefore, when you do a charitable deed, he didn't say don't do them ever. When you do a charitable deed,
Do not sound a trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do. Everyone that does that is a hypocrite, automatically in this case. Every one of them is a hypocrite, and there's many ways to see how and why. Do in the synagogues and in the streets. Yeah, someone gave $100 bill to someone, and then they have to get worshiped by the person, don't they? They have to bow their knee to that image. That's why the rich, wicked man gave them 100, 500 out of nowhere, because he wants his image worship. He shits on the poor person or whoever he gives on purpose to make him look like trash. It's why he gives, so that it makes him look righteous, just like Messiah said not to do. That's what the rich man's doing on the street, what Messiah knows about and speaks about, that they may have glory from men. What's the glory? 50 billion people from YouTube, not literally billion, millions so often, hundreds of thousands of people. The more the better. Say he's such a good person for showing the giving that he does. Can't people see any discernment in their face after they give? Can't anyone see that these people that do that are utterly destroyed and lost? That the anxiety they have every day for doing that is incredibly high on 11 out of 10 scale. Can't you see the disgust in the face for the one that gave that money or product to someone, just freely giving, as if that's what freely giving is? No one can see these people's destruction. If they could, they wouldn't be worshiping them and giving them glory. When man gives another person glory, that hides his sin. It makes him look righteous before men. Assuredly, truly, I say to you, they have their reward. What's their reward? Glory from men. What a worthless thing. That's their reward. Oh, coveted by this world, but it's worthless in reality. It's worthless in truth what the world covets for. It's a worthless thing to have 2, 3, 5, the more the worse. People look at you as a good, righteous, good person, worshiping our image. It's an evil, worthless thing in truth. But when you do a charitable deed, and it's not our place to say how, when, that's what the Master tells us to do, whenever, to be a light in the world. But when you do a charitable deed, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. That your charitable deed, every verse, charitable deed, I wonder if the Father did something here. Charitable deed, every verse. Same exact word. But now with the other translations, it's boom, boom, boom. And the first verse has practicing righteousness to not be seen. It's broken. It doesn't have charitable deeds. Completely broken from the connection of therefore, when you do a charitable deed, it says that because it should be charitable deeds up here. That's what Messiah actually said, and we have it. And just because corruption exists doesn't mean that it's not corrupt somewhere. That your charitable deed may be in secret. That's the intention, to do it in the secret. And your Father who sees in secret will himself reward you openly. It's making sure that someone is not doing it for the intention of being seen by men, to have glory for men, but making sure the heart is doing it in the secret place because of actually caring and wanting to give. And if someone's not able to do that in their heart, they shouldn't do anything at all, and not do what the wicked man does and give money and make sure everyone knows about it. Someone should just pray that they're able to have that heart to grow into that. And it would be beyond better to do nothing instead of do and break Messiah's word here, which would be massive sin. It's not to never. To be a light in the world is to give also. It's to give the true spiritual food and water. It's to quench the hungry and thirsty. What is the real food? Messiah says, do not work for the food that perishes. Do not labor for the food that perishes. We have to find a way to do that in our heart from him. It's not about literal food. It doesn't mean that there is no literal giving ever at any time either. It doesn't mean Messiah is saying don't ever give someone if they ask and if they need. It's just that the heavenly thing, the most important thing, is the heavenly food from above that gives life. Because that food by itself over there, the lower earthly thing, does not give life for eating it. It doesn't mean we don't need it. It just doesn't, it's not the heavenly thing. Do not work, do not labor for that food in the heart. It's a command for believers to learn and do. Certainly the devil's not going to be doing anything with them saying, take heed that you don't do your righteousness, your light, your good works, your kindness before men to be seen by them. Every good work that someone actually does can be seen, is seen, and is supposed to be seen. Otherwise, it's pointless. It's broken. It's like doing something in a basement, in a cellar, all the way down there somewhere in a hole. Pointless. Whatever they're doing, it's pointless. It doesn't matter what they're doing. Nobody can. They're doing a good work or wanting to do a good work. Well, nobody can see. Nobody knows of it. He's down in a hole somewhere. And when you pray, you shall not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the corners of the street, that they may be seen by men. There it is. Why do they pray? What's the heart's intention for praying, for showing like they do this, for doing it all over the place, anywhere and everywhere, on the corners of the streets, in the synagogues, as we read, and on the corners that they may be seen by men. Truly I say to you, it's the word amen. Truly, I don't know why the King James put it. It means that. It's assuredly meaning that, but I don't have a problem understanding the word truly. I say to you, they have their reward. But when you pray, go into your room, and when you have shut your door, pray to your Father who is in the secret place, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. New text omits openly. Okay, whatever. Of course it does. Sure it does. Does it make perfect sense to have openly here? Yes, it does. When you have shut your door, pray to your Father who is in the secret place, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. That's the contrast. Secret, openly. Do your stuff in the open to be seen by men, and you will be judged in your bosom secretly, destroyed your soul. Now the reverse, the good, is to do our works, do this thing, this giving, and watch out in the heart for all things to not be seen by men, to do this in the secret place, keep that word, and he will reward us openly. Those that make a show and the image of the beast of that openly are destroyed inwardly, secretly, and they try to hide it, but their soul is destroyed. And when you pray, do not use vain repetitions as the heathen do. What is this word, heathen? Two times, heathen.
Strong's G 1482, ethnikos.
Foreigner, strange, pagans, aliens to worship of the true Elohim. Where is it? For they think that they will be heard for their many words. That's why someone does it over and over and over and over again, so that they think they will be heard. They're hoping, a false hope, that because of the many words they will be heard and answered. But this is what we need to do. Therefore, do not be like them. Oh, you better than us. That's what someone will do for an attack. What are you, better than us? Do not be like me. Gets offended. So it must be. For you, your Father knows the things that for things you have need of before you ask them. Faith, needing to grow in faith and believing more and more who he is and what that he will give. And he already knows beforehand. So repeating a bunch of times, it won't work. He won't give because someone repeated 10,000 times in 1 minute. And who hasn't done that? In this manner, therefore pray. And then we have it. They changed this up too. I think in Luke. But in here it just says omits 4 years through amen. Oh, okay, it does change. You do say something different there too. On earth as it is in heaven. Give us your daily bread. Do not lead us into temptation. It sounds like what he leads us into temptation. Does he actually lead anyone into temptation? We read that he tempts no man to sin. Surely that would fall under leading someone into temptation. He does not. But this, and do not lead us into temptation, might make someone ask, does he lead us into temptation? No. No, it's a prayer to not lead us into temptation. That's all simple. A prayer to not lead us into temptation, to keep us away from it, to stay away from it, to overcome it, but deliver us from the evil one. And then the critical text removes, for yours is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. And I don't believe in it at all. But I do like that they're there because I've seen things through it, the footnotes anyways, where it just says what it omits or does. I like that it's at least there instead of not being there. So there's a lot of these. For if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. And then once again, moreover, when you fast, do not be like the hypocrites with a sad countenance, for they disfigure their faces that they may appear to men to be fasting. Why do they fast? He said it. For the intention. It's why they're doing the actual fasting. To be seen by men, that they may appear to be seen, to be fasting. Surely, truly, I say to you, they have their reward. What's their reward? For other people to see them, how righteous they are, to pity them, the devil's pity, as I call it, because this isn't the true pity. This is the pity someone wants on them. They're prideful gods, and yet they need this pity. What a contradiction man is in. Prideful God man that can do all things, and yet they want people to pity them. This is the former thing. This former thing's got to be going because it was in everyone, and it needs to further come out. This evil, worthless thing. This self-pity, wanting others to pity in this kind of way. And it doesn't mean not to pity others ever. That's nonsense. This is just the evil pity, not to do the evil pity. But you, when you fast, there's the whole when you fast. He's not commanding to never have anything to do with what fasting means. Anoint your head and wash your face so that you do not appear to men to be fasting, but to your Father who is in the secret place. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. Suppose the devil's trying to be a little consistent. New text omits openly again. Okay. Never mind you. Do not lay up for your treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. Lay up treasures there. Lay up yourself treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart is also. And if someone's treasure is in the money box and serving money and that's it, that's why they do what they do. They sell the truth for a lie and make profit on it. Where is their treasure? That's where their heart is, in the dirt. Where their gold is, that's where their heart is, in the underground. The lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye is good, your whole body will be full of light. If your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be loyal to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve Elohim and Mammon. These are all the perfect commands to keep. And they are difficult to keep, but with Elohim it's possible. Therefore I say to you, do not worry about your life. Wow, that's a command to keep every day. Do not worry about your life. That's a command. Does the Father want us to be worrying? And yet there's going to have to be a bunch of worry we have to overcome. The heart should want to be growing in this and doing this. What you will, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? That's real difficult to actually do. Who on earth wants to do this and is keeping this? With man it is impossible, but with Elohim all things are possible. How about a second time? Do not worry about your life. That would be everything. What you will eat, what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? We can't get the order reversed. Everything's got to be in its order. You can't put the clothing above all things. It's at the bottom, because the life is more than food and the body more than clothing. Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? And which of you by worrying could add 1 cubit to his stature? We can't do anything, and it doesn't change anything anyways for worrying. This seems simple, these words. Oh, yeah. No, but doing them, it's not so simple. There's wisdom in actually starting to do this. And it's going to sound stupid because someone goes, yeah, I know what it means. So why do you worry about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Solomon not arrayed like one of these. O you of little faith. Is Messiah a liar? Not to worry, saying, what shall we eat or what shall we drink? Now, when someone's in all faithlessness, screaming out there in the world, I gotta do this, making excuses, and if it goes to another level, they might kill someone for food. But even if they don't, it doesn't mean they're not breaking this all the time in all fear and faithlessness. The more someone worries about these things, the more faithless they are. That's a fact. It just gets worse. It's -5 to -15, 20, 30, 50. -5 is not keeping it because it compares itself to -20. This is what we should do. Strive to keep, not to worry, to literally not worry. Wow, what else is there left to worry? Because that's all man is like a bag of worry and tricks. For after all these things the Gentiles seek, for your heavenly Father knows that you need all these things. We're supposed to believe these words that he knows and will provide, to believe in him for providing, and not try ourselves, which he will allow someone to do, and go into all fear and faithlessness and say, I got to kill someone to eat. I got to screw someone at a job to eat. I got to do this. I got this. I got that. I got kids. All the excuses we'll see in faithlessness. It tries to convince itself so much of its excuse, and it won't be allowed. Father will not allow someone's excuse to stand in their own heart. It will torment them, and it should torment them so long as they don't repent. It should torment them that they cannot actually believe their own lie, that they're trying to lie to themselves and convince themselves when screaming, in the streets about how righteous it is. For after all these things the Gentiles seek. Sinners, the nations, they all seek these things, all these things. For your heavenly Father knows that you need all these things. Seek first the kingdom of Elohim and his righteousness. If we do this, here's the promise, and all these things, the things we need, that we actually need, will be added to you. There's no excuse. No one can say, oh, my kids, my this, my that. That's just the truth. No one can scream on the streets, try to convince everyone how righteous they are and sound the trumpet constantly about their charitable deeds and have anything to do with the Creator. No one can make any excuses. And the believer is not condemned for only believing this a little bit. That's the best they can do. And then it needs to grow from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. And it's going to change. It's going to look different. It's a change. It's this truth getting bigger. But I'm speaking of no belief in it. Speaking of unbelief completely. Speaking of people that make excuses and don't believe and don't want to believe. If you actually seek the kingdom first, it's a promise that these things shall be added to you. And the Father knows the heart, like the world says. He knows the heart. Yeah, he does. He knows your heart, whether you're actually doing this. I wonder why they say that. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about its own things. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. Yes, it is. Now, that word is malice 6 times, malicious, evil, wickedness, naughtiness, trouble, malignity, malice, ill will, desire to injure, wickedness, depravity, wickedness that is not ashamed to break laws, evil, trouble. So each day is sufficient for the evil, trouble, wickedness. Well, I think that's going to be it. Hopefully. Well, I do believe there was some examples, a few, for contradictions of being evil and gross. Man, it's a lot of work to put all the lies the devil screwed up back together and learn it for the first time. But that would be seeking the kingdom first. And he will do the works in us, and it doesn't really feel like that when in spirit, because it's his strength. It doesn't feel like 20 hours, 50 hours, 100 hours, it doesn't. It's that to those that believe that's horrible and miserable, and that's what it will be for them. 1 minute is like 50 hours. 1 minute of doing good is such an abomination to someone. It's like 50 hours of work, that 1 minute. And now Father is able to make 50 hours of work of good, doing good, feel like 1 minute. He's able to do that. Somehow like one in spirit, and it warps time. All right, that's going to be it for now. Please take care. Seek truth from above.